I like that little ditty you wrote.
What?
We need a
Oh, the theme song?
Yeah, we need like a full song out of that. You gotta finish that one of these days.
Oh man, I don't know. I'm just the rhythm player.
Just a rhythm guy. That's okay. Rhythm is important.
That's why that
Nothing
works
wrong
for
with
me,
that.
because I can just bang it out, strumming away.
Yeah, for sure. Well, yo, YouTube. Welcome back to the Dollar Box Live with Charlie and Stu from JC3 Cards and Collectibles. Hope you all are doing well. It's been a while. We ended up not having. We had a live show during the day last week, but then some things came up and we couldn't do the live Wednesday night.
3 hours.
So 3 hours, I know. It takes forever to open all that top stuff.
It does. It
You know.
does.
So anyway, a lot's happened since then. Of course, we opened our tops products. We've got some updates for the goat show. We're well into the swing of tax season, and with that all that fun that gets brought to the table. As many of you are probably getting 1099s that haven't gotten them before, due to the lowered amounts and probably increased activity in sales, which isn't a bad thing. Okay. So we've been asked a bit to touch on just tax season and stuff. So we'll see what we do with that. But the most important thing is just that we're back on. So so we're happy to have any of you join us. Thank you so much for coming back. If you are not watching this live and you're watching it recorded, please try to join us live every Wednesday, except last week. See, I knew at some point there wouldn't just be, one episode that had to be skipped. There's got to be something that comes up at some point.
Yeah, that was my fault, folks. I had some things come up between the card rip and the live show. We had every intention of going live that night, and some things didn't go according to plan, and suddenly I had to make some adjustments on the fly. So I had to send Adam the SOS message and say, hey, I hate to do this to you, but I don't think I can be available tonight. And he graciously said, hey, no problem, I get it. So
yeah, real life always comes first. I thought about going live myself, and maybe we were a little ambitious trying to do a live during the day and a live at night and all that. And it just made sense to let last week go and get back on it this week. So we appreciate all you sticking with us and coming back to the show this week. And we will try not to miss any more Wednesdays. I'm thinking we're probably still going to have once or twice a year, something's going to come up. It just seems almost impossible if you have a full family life like we have to never have something come up. So, especially as we get closer into soccer season this summer, I'll be coaching this summer. And then towards the end of summer, we get into football and Charlie's coaching. So that just, kind of adds to it a little bit. I went to my niece's hockey tournament this past weekend, and she's in U13, I think, U13 hockey. She's 12, so whatever team that makes her on. She's on the A squad. They have like A, B, C squads,
right,
that they try out for, and she's very, very good. Like very good. She scored a hat trick on the last game of the weekend that I went to on Sunday. And one thing I realized is how different kids are at the age of 12. There's one girl who's like this big and weighs like 20 pounds, and then there's these girls that are already 6 feet tall and 150 pounds, and freight trains on the ice, and it's like, wow, it's crazy how much separation there is at that age. So she's on the latter side of that. She's like pretty much a fully grown adult, and you could really see it out on the ice how dominant she can be with using all her physical attributes. So anyway, just an observation I wanted to pass along. That was probably the biggest thing that happened to me this past weekend was caught 3 games of hockey, and that was a lot of fun.
That's a lot of hockey.
It's a lot of hockey. Yeah, it's a tournament they host each year on the home ice. Do you know where the Ashwaubenon Ice Arena
Yeah.
is?
Mm-hmm.
They've got like 3 rinks in there. I mean, they built this amazing hockey complex now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did that. I was actually going to go to the card show on Sunday in Appleton, but I went to the Winneconne show on Saturday and picked up a lot of really amazing stuff there from somebody who's never had a table before and just bought a bunch of boxes of cards from some guy's garage when he was in another state and hauled it all here with him and finally set up at a show. So love those boxes. Those boxes that haven't been gone through in 10 years. That's glory stuff, you know. You're looking at stuff from the 2010s and first year Prism cards, first year Optic cards, lots of Brady stuff and
Right.
things I just don't see out on tables much anymore. Not especially not in a value box style. And very fair prices. So I picked up a bunch of stuff there. I'm just listing that. I'm up to almost 4,800 listings in the non-sport store now. So I got a bunch of that done. And then finished my scans. I have like 100 scans left, but since your lovely spouse was stopping by with my camera that I, unfortunately left at your house last week, I thought this is the right time to get the scanner back to you. So we made a swap this morning, and
Yeah, I was surprised when I got that message because I was thinking either I was gonna chat you as I was wrapping up at work and swing by and pick it up after work, or if I wasn't motivated, I was just gonna tell you, I'll just come over on Saturday or something.
yeah.
So,
Well, like I said, I figured I was pretty much out of scan, so it really doesn't make sense for me to have the scanner if I can't scan anything. So
yeah.
I shouldn't put it that way. I mean, you're never out of scans. I was out of Card Dealer Pro listings, which for me is scans. I only scan as I'm listing. So and I thought you could really use it because I think I kind of took it back from you on a last in the last run of scans. I got it back a little earlier, so I thought it would be nice to get it back to you.
It was all right because the Top Series 1, I wasn't real happy with the way they scan with that foil on it. The ones with the white lettering on the nameplate are all right, but the ones with the black, you couldn't even see them. So I probably would have been just working off of my phone for the most part anyway. So I was good with it. Like it was our normal rotation anyway, so no sweat. I was able to, as of today, I got all my singles and inserts and parallels and base cards that I wanted listed out on eBay. All I got left now are some groups. I'm trying to decide if I want to do some team sets or I might put some stuff out on some bulk stuff out on Facebook Marketplace, and so I'm in a good spot with all that.
Well, that's good to hear. Yeah, Top Series Mount 1, we might as well start there since that's where we kind of left off last time. But yeah, basically, we ripped a bunch of different assortments of boxes. If you haven't seen the video, it was recorded live last week at Charlie's place of residence. And I felt like we got some decent inserts. You pulled a couple of autos in your assortments.
Yeah.
We had a couple decent, Jersey card hits, lots of second-year Skeens and Merrill and, cards like that. A few numbered cards. But I definitely don't feel like I got my value back on what
Not
I
yet,
spent.
anyway.
Yeah, so quite a few rookie cards. I've got most of my stuff listed. Almost everything is sold already for me. That's one nice thing is I can get a quick turn out of a lot of that. With like the inserts, the parallels, I have a few things left, but It's mainly just base. A lot of base rookies, which may or may not be good. I guess we'll see how it goes this season.
Yep.
Um, but that's kind of where I landed with that. But I agree with you. It didn't seem like they would scan real well. Of course, they're not in Car Dealer Pro yet either. Actually, they might be now. Now that's a weekend. I know they put some priority on sets like that where lots of, you know, us dealers are looking to list that stuff. So they might be in there. I haven't really checked, to be honest with you, because I did all my stuff pretty much that same day, especially since that night we ended up not having a live. I was able to get most of my stuff photographed and listed, which was nice.
They can't all be Topps Heritage, which scans like a dream.
Right. I like Allen and Ginter, I think, is my favorite.
Yeah. Yeah.
Each card is so unique, it very rarely picks up, you know, the wrong card and stuff. So, and that side has so much weird stuff. It's nice when you scan it and just pulls it all in because it's like, you know, T-bone shark or whatever. I'm like, I don't know what the hell this thing is. You know, it's different kinds of tigers and lions and desserts and, you know, actors and musicians and comedians. Yeah, that's my favorite ones to scan for sure. But I was glad I did it. I was glad we picked up some boxes. It was fun. It was nice to have a day together where we were in the same place. We could open some stuff, be on camera, and kind of enjoy it a little bit. It does run a little long, like 2 hours in. I was like, I don't really want to open any more stuff. It's not really my thing. It's just really not my thing. I used to love opening packs when I was a kid, because that lottery ticket, is so attractive. But yeah, I'm just not as much that way as an adult. Like I drive past the casino almost every day when I leave my house because it's not that far from my house, and I never once think about stopping in there.
Yeah,
it just doesn't thrill me.
We've said all along, and everybody else will say it too. Anybody who's been doing this for a while, you can't make money consistently off of retail, right? Like just ripping packs. So in my case, I sold this week about $150 of Topps Series 1 2025. I only have about $300 to make to break even.
Yeah. Yeah. I probably sold about that much too, but I didn't spend nearly as much. I think I spent
right
like 185 or something. So I'm not too far off, at least from the break even part. But
yeah.
Now, but I didn't buy the jumbo. That's the big difference.
Right. And I won't buy any more this year. Everything else I buy will be the small retail packs, the hangers and stuff like that, blasters. But I do think there's something to be said about release day being a little special, and you kind of go a little bit more. And the other thing I'll say about my sales volume from it so far is that doesn't tell the whole story. So I sold $150 of 2025 Topps Series 1, but my sales overall were more than doubled for about 4 days straight from the foot traffic. I sold so much more basketball than I ever do for some reason, and I have to think that is from the foot traffic from the Topps Series 1.
Well, even baseball sales for me had increased. I sold. Somebody would come in and buy a couple of 2025 Topps cards, but then buy a few, other cards. The ASG cards from last year, I got a lot of sales where they would buy 2025, new Topps, and then a couple of the ASG cards. So,
yeah,
I think I agreed. I think that was kind of our game plan going into it. It was just something to inject some energy into the store and, stay current, right? Have some of the newer stuff in there and that kind of thing. And I think it's something that I'll probably do every year. I'm really glad I skipped the jumbo. I don't, that is truly a lottery ticket. And I feel like I would have just got a lot of base. No. Yeah. And it's sometimes it's disappointing because you see all the videos and the posts of oh, I got this Shohei Ohtani 1/1 auto, and I'm like, I didn't get anything close to
I got a
that.
Brandon Nemo auto.
Right, exactly. Not
Like
even
Charlie
numbers,
Brown
not
Halloween,
even
right?
numbers.
I got
Right.
new Legos. I got a
I
rock.
got a rock. Yeah. So it's yeah, when you watch that, and you have to keep that in perspective too, because okay, I opened a couple of boxes, but that poster might have opened a couple cases,
Pieces.
So obviously, things change as you buy more product. So might have got a bigger hit with some bigger money, but maybe spent a lot more money too.
Yeah.
You can't really look at it that way.
It was fun to take a look at it. I don't know if you saw my special edition liquidity list, but I did one just on 2025 Top Series 1,
Mhm.
and posted that yesterday just to see what's moving so far from that set, understanding that it's not really mass released in retail stores yet, or if it is, people got them so fast that I haven't seen any. And even
I
even
have,
online, everybody says like the 28th before it's available or something like that.
yeah,
So, but with a limited amount of product out there in the retail stores, I think it affects the numbers a lot because a lot of the kids and stuff are getting them in the retail stores these days. But it flooded the market pretty fast. There was over 43,000 card sales out there already. There's over 155,000 listings out there already when I pulled it
oh
the
yeah,
other day. And I think it was pretty typical on what we would have expected to be moving with the silver packs were hot.
yeah,
They were at the top of the list. Plus, they were available in all the hobby stuff, right?
yep,
Um, and then the normal names, Otani and Judge at the top, and Skeens, and then you had those rookies, Cruz and Wood.
yep.
They were your top five right there. So it was interesting to take a look at that. You know what I like to say? I'm all about going from feels to reels, and you kind of have a feeling how these things go, but then you pull the data and it either validates it or you find out, yeah, I was off a little bit.
Yeah, and I felt fortunate because I pulled plenty of wood and I pulled plenty of crews. They're in all kinds of different subsets and insert sets and stuff. But I got a ton of skeins, and those sold the
Yeah.
quickest for me. All my skeins were gone within like 2 hours.
Yep.
In fact, I think I had 4 copies of one of the cards, and I think I had a buyer buy all 4 of them.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of nice because it was usually second year cards aren't super liquid.
Yeah.
Um, but that seems to be because I don't know that the rookie class is as strong this year, at least not off the start here.
Not for Series 1, yeah.
Not for Series 1. But the rookie class for last year was so strong you could get sales this year from last year's rookies.
Yeah.
So you could kind of, especially like I said, they had some nice inserts of them. They had jersey cards. They had, um, inserts, all that stuff of last year's top rookies. And that seemed to help. I think that's helping the product right now. We'll see what happens when, like I said, when this year kicks off and maybe some of those rookies get called up right away or
Yeah.
get hot in spring training or something like that. Um, you could get a boost from that too. So yeah, I'm trying to keep it in perspective because I was like, man, I sold a bunch of this. I didn't make a lot back. And then like, well, wait a second, they haven't even started swinging bats yet. We have to give that a little bit of time
Yeah.
for the baseball season to really kick in before there's a lot more baseball buying
Yeah.
as well. Same thing with the basketball. I feel like basketball doesn't sell at all really during the season. But once you get way closer to the playoffs, are you playing with those poker chips?
I am.
Knock it off! I can hear that. I'm like click 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 click. I'm like, what the heck is that? I'm like, that's those damn poker chips. Um, so anyway, but I feel like that's kind of how basketball lands for me now. I'll do okay during some of the playoffs and stuff, but the rest of the season doesn't really sell very well.
Yeah.
Other than usual suspects, you can always sell some Curry and some LeBron and I picked up some really nice Kobe stuff for $1 a card from that seller. A bunch of Metal Universe and stuff that you don't really see, especially not in dollar boxes.
Right.
And that stuff I always expect to have a market for it, but it's like Jason Tatum's and Kevin Durant's and like some of those guys don't really do a whole lot until like right now, as it's starting to get closer to something that looks like the playoff picture, really.
Yeah.
So
the other thing about the Top Series 1 that I did this year differently is I priced it differently this year. Last year, I was still relatively new seller February of last year. And I held on to my prices pretty heavy handed. Like I did not give a lot of discounts. I did not accept a whole lot of offers. This year I was much more flexible. So, I talk about what I sold so far. I also priced it to move. Over the last 2 months, I looked at a ton of 2024 Top Series 1 I still had left. And I tried to price that stuff to move and hardly sold a handful of that stuff. And once I saw that, I said, okay, I'm gonna move this stuff because after about 30 days, I don't want to have any of it left.
Yeah, and I kind of do that too. I mean, I don't price stuff as heavy as I used to, but I let my coupons kind of speak for the deal too.
Yep.
And I sold a lot of cards that way. People would come in and buy, like I said, 4 or 5 copies of a card and get a deal that way. And that's great for me because I can move them all at one time. So yeah, I think the more product you have, the more aggressive you got to price, because you're right, you could fall behind in it in a hurry.
Yeah.
Now that can also bite you in the butt, because let's say this was 2018 and you had a nice stack of Ohtani rookies and you sold them for $2 a piece, and Ohtani becomes Ohtani, and now you could get $35 a piece for them. So
yeah.
The rookies are a little bit different, the prospects, whatever you want to call them, all the above, I guess. But you don't know that. Most of the time you're better off taking the money and letting it move.
Yeah. And I agree with that. It's more about the vets and stuff that, like, for example, I can see on my list the Key Brian Hayes rookie in front of me. I sold that for $850. Like last year, I probably would have tried to hold out for like $15.
You mean the auto?
Yeah, the auto.
Not the rookie. It was an auto.
No, just the auto. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Brandon PFAT I sold for less than $10 too. Like last year, I really tried to squeeze on any of those hits, and I think it cost me. So this year, I knew that part of the value in those was bringing people into the store and getting other stuff. So I didn't squeeze it as much as I did last year.
I kind of did just for the first few hours. Like I knew the ones that were going to be hot. Like I got that numbered silver pack Ryan Sandberg, numbered out of 99, I think it was, the blue.
Yeah.
And I got hammered right as soon as I listed that. I got hammered with all kinds of offers.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to counter a little bit and see if maybe I can get this. Well, first, obviously, you want to try to see if you can get it sold for more money, but I was also kind of holding on to it and hoping it would be a part of a bigger order or more offers, multiple offers from a buyer, and that's pretty much what happened. So, if you've got something really special that you pulled, not that a numbered Ryan Sandberg card is necessarily super hot, but there's going to be some draw to that, right? I mean, he's a big enough name, and you just don't get very many numbered cards. We opened all those boxes. I think I got 3 or 4 numbered cards out of 5 boxes. I think it was 3. I think I got 3 numbered cards.
Yeah. And you got more than I did.
Yeah, which is crazy because you also had a jumbo, but
yeah.
Um, yeah,
I agree, though. The bigger names I held too. In fact, yeah, I see. I got the same amount for a Bobby Witt Silver Pack Chrome Mojo that I did for the PFAT auto. I held for the Bobby Witt because I knew that was going to have a better market, but yet I came down on that Brandon PFAT auto.
and that's it. Really speaks to the way I've played this since the very beginning. Everybody was about the prospecting and the rookies, and there's more of that in baseball anyway. But I've always been about just buy the guys that have hobby and sell them. It's going to be there unless something happens to them. So this past weekend when I was buying baseball, I was buying Judge and Otani and Witt, and you know, um, those are the guys that are going to be the quick turns.
Yep.
And that's what I want. I don't need huge margins. I just need, if I can pay $1 for something today and sell it for $4 tomorrow, I'm good to go. Like I don't need to buy the prospect at $1 and hope he's got a hot month and goes up to 20. Like I don't know. I really like the bigger names, and I've just always done it that way. And it's kind of like buying the blue chip stocks, right? So instead of buying, the little tiny chip manufacturer that just started a company last month, you buy Microsoft or Apple. Apple stock, you're probably not going to lose your ass on, if you buy it today. Yeah, the sky isn't the limit. You buy Bitcoin now at $100,000. There isn't going to be as much room in it as there was when it was $500 a coin. But they're not going away. Like you're always going to have your investment, and even if it's little bits over time, you should get more money out of that.
Right.
So when you're doing it for a living, I think that's very important. But that's one of the reasons one of the things I really like about the Series 1 product. I've been kind of bad mouthing it, I guess, a little bit in this episode, but I don't want it to come off like I don't like the product. One of the things I love about the product is they do a lot of vet stuff. I got a lot of really nice shiny inserts of. Yep. I probably pulled Griffey. 10 or 12. Yeah, I think I got 10 or 12 Skeens cards out of that. Between the Stars cards and some greatest hits, and like there's all these really nice inserts, and rookie cup cards are still popular, even though they're not technically rookie cards. They're usually second year cards. But I applaud them for that, because you should automatically get some value back just on that. And then, hey, if some of the rookies pan out, there you go. Now that's where your margin comes in. You start getting more profits and stuff.
Yep.
On some of those, I haven't sold a ton of the rookies, to be honest with you. There hasn't been nearly as much. I thought I'd sell a lot of those at $2 a piece, whatever. Some of the inserts and parallels and things, those have sold, but just like the base rookies, I haven't really moved a whole lot of them.
Yeah, I sold a base James Wood, and then some parallels of a couple other guys: Rainbow, Trey, Sweeney, Sand Glitter, Dylan Dingler.
Yep. Yeah, that's kind of what my experience has been too. I don't even know if I sold a Wood yet. But yeah, I've sold a few rookie variations, and then that's about it. So yeah, I guess I was kind of thinking I would get more of those right off the bat, but like I said, this isn't as strong a rookie class, it doesn't seem, as last year was.
Ellie's still moving good out of there.
Yeah, Ellie took off right away, and then you had all the Jacksons. All the Jacksons, the Jackson 5, the Jackson 4, whatever it was. There was pretty good odds that a few of the Jacksons would pop right away, and there'd be money in them, and most of them panned out. You
And we
know,
talked about they kind of held Jackson Churio a bit for Series 2.
they did. Yeah, I think the only thing he's in Series 1 is the silver packs, right? He's in the 1990 cards.
He's definitely in that. I think Max was telling us he's in a couple other inserts, but that's it.
So yeah, that was pretty interesting. I thought, you know, second year players, they wouldn't really care. They'd put them in every series, but probably smart on their part. You know, I was really glad Skeens was in it and had a lot of different options for Skeens cards because I just didn't have very many.
Yeah,
that was the other thing I was really looking forward to is just that. Other than the ESG sets, I didn't buy a lot of baseball last year, so I had a bunch of Jackson Merrill Topps Chrome rookies because early in the season last year, I got a bunch of them really cheap, you know, out of $1 box or whatever. But they sold. They were all gone, you know, and I wasn't getting them back in dollar boxes. So I kind of sat without a lot of Skeens. I have a bunch of Ellie, which is weird. I came across a lot of Ellie rookies over the year, but not a lot of Merrill, not a lot of Churio, not a lot of you know, the other big name rookies from last year. So it's kind of interesting that Merrill. It's kind of interesting that they kind of sat around and in that first part of the year, and then boom, they all sold, and then boom, I couldn't find any anymore. You know, just like the 10-cent Otanis. You know, we were hitting that Winneconne show last year. We were getting 10-cent Otanis
at this time. Yeah,
at this time. Judges, I bought. I don't know if you remember this, but that one Bowman card, it was 2020 Bowman, I think. Aaron Judge, I found I found like 20 copies of it in the 10-cent box. I bought all 20 of them. Mm-hmm. I think I'm down to like 3 or 4 of them now. But yeah, even at the Winneconne show this year, I didn't find anything like that. To be fair, it was a good show. It was better turnout than I thought it might be because we had like a giant
snowstorm.
Yeah, we had a giant snowstorm. It was kind of a rough. Normally, it would take me about 40 minutes to get down there from my house. It took me about an hour and 15 minutes to get there. So, but I really wanted to show support for that show. You know, ANC Cards is coming to our show. You know, the gentleman who runs that show there. Super nice young man. So I was happy to get out there. It was kind of fun. I got to sit next to Max. I don't know if Max is on here tonight. But he's the one who found the new first time setup dealer first. And I set up my stool, popped out my stool, sat next to Max, and we dug through those boxes. And, you know, him and I don't buy the same stuff, so it worked out really well that way. There was meat for all of us. But it was just kind of fun. It was a nice, little bit slower, smaller show to be able to do that at. So I was very excited about that. I did see while we were talking here, we just got a message for 2 more tables for our show. So I'm proud to be able to say that we are almost sold out. Show isn't for just under a month away now, and we're almost sold out. So we're kind of, the 4 of us have been sort of kicking around. What do we? There we go. What do we want to do? You know, if we sell out, so we're going to start a waiting list. We don't want to add like a table to a row. We would want to add a table to each row. So if we had on the waiting list, if we had enough demand to add a table to each row, we would sell some additional tables. But we really like our layout right now with having some open space and that. And we don't want to be too big. I think you can get in trouble with a show if you're too small or if you're too big, and you aren't prepared for what that means. So we feel like we really like our size. Our dealers do very well at the show. We have plenty of you know, patrons who come to the show but have some time and some space to get around. And we want to make sure that we can maintain a lot of that. It's not super long waiting lines for food or drinks. And so we'll see where it goes. But I'm really, really happy that we're down to, I think it's like 6 or 7 tables, I think is all we have left. So that's pretty amazing. And if this this message we just got a few minutes ago claims 2 more tables. We're down to 3 or 4 tables left, 4 or 5 tables left, something in there. So very excited about that. We did order some.
Grow, expand our presence there. I think we've got a good blueprint. We've got some fantastic vendors that keep coming back, and a good mix of a few new vendors checking it out. So I think it's been everything we hoped it would be. And these early shows are allowing us to continue to think about some of our early ideas where we said, let's just get the basics down and see how it goes and make sure, things go the way we want. And then we can start to think about some other events to add in and things like that. So it's been going pretty well according to plan. We're getting the basics down. We've got the foundation built, and, we continue to grow in our marketing strategies and the experience itself for both customers and vendors.
It's kind of fun because that, for that very first show, no one knows who you are. I mean, other than maybe some of you who watch this show. And so it was like, oh, the GOAT show, this is what it is. This is where it is. Now we have people coming to us saying, oh, it's the GOAT show. Oh, I've heard of the GOAT show. I'd like and a lot more people reaching out to us. Hey, do you have any tables? Hey, do you have any tables? I need a table, so that's been really nice. And this past Saturday when I was at the show, I try to talk to as many vendors and, customers as I can at a show. And most of them heard of the GOAT show. Pun intended.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. Most of them knew of the GOAT show, and so you can just say the GOAT show and people know what it is. And I think that's the true testament to finding some success and, getting your name out there and getting your words out there. We did have a vendor who was super kind enough to donate a Pokemon Prismatic box for a giveaway, which is huge. We have a couple other vendors who wanted to. They like the fact that we give something away to kids when they come in the door and have some different options, not just packs, but some fidget toys and some things. Sometimes kids need stuff, in a busy environment like that. So we're very, very pleased we can do that. We're tied with Paul's Pantry again, so we're gonna get some food and make some food donations to a local food bank, which unfortunately has more demand than supply these days.
Right.
So we're really happy to try to get them whatever help we can, and just be more as community focused as we can with the show. I think is the real appeal. But location's great. Hours are the same. We've kept some consistency with it while still adding some new interest. We do have a fun new game that attendees are going to be able to play and interact with the dealers on and get a little bit of money to spend at the show. And so we're really excited about that. We'll have some posts about that, in the very near future.
Yep.
I did just post the other day. I got another kind donation from someone in the community, some Curly Lambeau issue number 1, the history of the Green Bay Packers comic books. They're pretty sweet. I think we have 10 or 12 issues of that we're going to give away. Talking to a couple other vendors that want to donate some things. So we'll have plenty of stuff for our drawing. And all it takes to be entered in our drawing is bring a non-perishable food item, and you'll get a ticket entry into the drawing, or make a donation. That's an option if you don't want to bring the food. So I'm really looking forward to it. I think March is a great time to have a show. It's going to be here right before everything kind of breaks down around here for the draft. The one nice thing is we're on the east side. We're nowhere near Lambeau, so we don't have to worry about some of the traffic hassle with roads being shut down for the draft and things like that. Hopefully the weather is good, but Yeah, so we have to make our pitch on our show, as you guys know. I know many of you can't attend a show in Green Bay, Wisconsin, but if you ever want to, we'd be more than happy to show you around town, take you to Lambeau. I could take you to that casino by my house if that's your thing.
Yeah.
um, get you some accommodations and have you participate in the show. It'd be amazing. Charlie and I
The
are planning to do a live during the show. We're going to be set up on the stage with our background being the show floor. And I think that's going to be a lot of fun. So once we kind of have that nailed down and kind of an estimated time, we'll post something in the Discord. By the way, if you're not in the Discord, the link's roaming around the bottom of the screen there. You should join that for free. But we plan to do a live during the show for a little period of time, and I think that's going to be super fun.
Yeah, and the other thing I'm excited about too is we want to expand our presence for breakers as well. So
Yep.
we have some dedicated space available. We are taking I wouldn't say applications, that's not how it works, but we are looking for someone eager to set up a breaking table and work together, partner with them to set something up at the venue and work with us to make sure everything we've envisioned for this is going to work as expected. We've got some different spaces that we think will work great for that. We've talked about potentially using the stage for that. We've got some other tables on the main floor if we decide that's a better setup for that. But I personally, I would be really excited to see a breaker up on the stage overlooking the show floor with that in their background as they are ripping product, interspersing some live shots of themselves at the show, working through this. Adam and I can visit a little bit and see how it's going with them. And I think that would be another way to really drive some excitement in the show, get another part of this whole experience that not everybody partakes in, but there's certainly a strong contingent of folks that are all about the breaks, and we'd like to get more of that incorporated as well.
So this might be a little bit of breaking news because I don't even think you know this yet, Charlie, but AJ Dillon, for those who don't know, who aren't around here, AJ Dillon is is he a fullback or running back? Fullback?
He was a running back, yeah.
Running back. He's a running back for the Green Bay Packers, but he's a huge card collector and he does breaks and things like that. He will not be at the show, or currently is not going to be able to make the show, but some of his staff are going to be there with a table. They've already booked a table, and they're going to be doing breaks at the show. So we'll see how that goes because we don't have the thing we run into difficulty wise, and we're going to work with the venue further on this. We don't have a hardwired line of internet there. Now their Wi-Fi surprisingly works very, very well.
Yes.
Doesn't always work that well when you're in bigger crowds, but I haven't had problems there. Charlie and I did all the Car Dealer Pro demos and stuff. I didn't really have any problems at all with it.
Neither did I.
Which was good. So they're probably going to break from hotspot or break from Wi-Fi or something like that, and we'll see how it goes. If we can get some nice live feed from them, share that, and say, hey, you're going to be able to break here just fine. Using the Wi-Fi as it is. But I'm hoping that over time there'll be demand at the venue for a hard line for other things that are going to be there, and that's something that they'll pop in and we can help with that. Even if they have a rental fee for it or something, I think it would be worth it. So something we're still trying to work on for the future. But right now our focus is still doing the correct advertising, making sure we get plenty of customers to the show so our vendors, make some money, and making sure everybody knows what the show is and when it is and, what we're trying to do and, really build that out. We're adding some advertising pieces. We just ordered some advertising pieces last night at the show, for the show. So we're constantly reinvesting in the show too. It's not just book a table. Here you go. Good luck. We're putting efforts, money, resources into the show ourselves, reinvesting into it to continue to make it as great an event as we can possibly think of.
Right.
We want to make it a little more interactive. So we want to have a place where you can take a photo and hashtag the Goat Show with the logo, and sharing your pickups, sharing your sales if you're a vendor. We had some people streaming live from the last show, which is good because I don't always see that at shows. So I'm seeing more. We have kind of an appeal at our show for vendors that come and want to share their experience. And I think that's going to be key. I think that's something fun that will make our show stand out a little bit.
Right.
So that's the pitch on the show. We had to get our Goat Show stuff in here tonight. So if you're not interested, we appreciate you spending the time getting through it with us.
The Goat Show.
There it is. So
yeah, speaking of new advertising, I got myself finally got myself some business cards.
Nice. Yeah, I've still got about 3,000 or so of these guys left.
Yep.
I only put a card in an order for someone who's a new customer now. I don't do it for every single order. I was doing that for a while because frankly that's kind of what you got to do to build up customer base, but the guy who's placed the 34th order from me probably doesn't need another business card.
Right.
So anyway, so they're not going through as fast, which isn't necessarily a bad thing expense-wise, but once I'm through those, I'm going to redesign, and I'm going to have a card with both of my stores on either side, and then another card with my YouTube on one side, and then the Goat Show on the other. So Charlie and I will both have cards advertising the show. But I'm super happy that you got a card done already with the show on it, because we can use your cards, to hand out for show advertising.
Right.
Which will be good for you and for the show.
And you've been trying to talk me into this forever, so I was glad I finally got it done. I used the vendor you recommended and you use, and I know I had some talks with you in the past about I just feel like I spend hours and hours hemming and hawing over this stuff, and I was like, finally reached the point where I was like, I just got to make a decision and go. So I did. I only ordered 100 to start, just because I knew there was probably going to be some tweaks I'd want to make and things like that. I wanted to get just a small amount in my hand to look at. There was one issue that I identified I have to address. So that's exactly why I went with a small volume on the first order. I am putting it in all my orders right now, in kind of a growth phase. But I will probably do the same thing as time goes down. So I just keep a little stack right here on the table as I'm loading cards up. I do one of two things. Either I will, if I have it in a card saver, I will just slide one in like that, with the card outside of the sleeve of the card, but in the card saver. Or I will, this one doesn't want to let it go. He's like, man, that's good stuff, good quality stuff. Or if I use the traditional top loader, what I've been doing is when I put my tape over the top, I just fold enough down so that it holds my business card on the outside of the top loader like that.
Yeah, it's a great idea. Yeah, as long as you don't put it in the sleeve with the card.
Right.
You'll get comments about that. But yeah, it's I still think it's one of the easiest, most affordable ways to advertise. They're good to take to shows. They're good to take to to put in your order envelopes. They're good for anything really. I'm trying to grow the YouTube and all, especially when you do a double-sided card. I feel like I get twice the value out of it then. So I will literally have two different business cards and both double-sided. So I'll have basically 4 business cards, and then I can decide. If it's a new customer, well, I'm definitely going to want to send them the card with both my eBay links on it. if it's a customer that I've had for a while, well, maybe I don't need to send them the eBay card, but I could send them the one with the show, especially if it's like a local order or
Right.
somebody in Two Rivers ordered a card for me. Well, I'll send them. I want to send them the one with the goat show on it. I want to get them out to that show. It's only a 40-minute drive for them. They could come to the show. So I like the angle of being able to advertise in a few different ways.
Yeah, for sure. I'm really pleased with them. They're relatively inexpensive and high quality. I got the glossies, so really good. I would recommend it as well to anybody. It's a little intimidating to go out there and get started and pick on your design because it kind of feels so final, right? Oh, I'm putting this in print and I'm buying hundreds of them. It better be exactly what I want. I think everybody's probably going to have a little tweaking here and there they'll do. But you just got to rip the Band-Aid off and just jump in, right?
I would say just make sure it's you. Make sure it's your brand. Make sure it's the image you want to portray. Outside of that, what you put on it isn't necessarily as important as it just being you, what you are and what you want yours. They have a lot of good kind of outlines. I really liked this sort of gradient effect where it's, the greens to the whites, very clean. I love QRC codes. I always thought they were hugely underrated, and now it seems like everybody's using. It's become more mainstream now. But if I'm walking around at a show and I got my backpack on, and somebody's like, I'm filming, and they're like, "Well, do you have a YouTube channel?" I sure do. What's your YouTube? I don't want to give them my YouTube link. I hand them this thing, and I'm like, scan right there. And then in the meantime, they also get a card for my store. For my eBay store. So I don't know. I think they're invaluable for the penny or 2 pennies you pay a piece for them or whatever when you buy enough quantity. I buy 5,000 at a time. That's how I do it. And they don't last as long as you'd think they do. If you start doing bigger volume, you even with not sending them to current customers, I still burn through them pretty quick.
Yeah.
A good stack per week at least. And then I always throw some out on my table when I'm set up at a show. I always have some in my bag, to hand out. If I'm shopping at a show, things like that. So you can attach them to the goat show flyers, and then they sort of have your information as well as the goat show. So yeah, big fan of business cards. Always have been.
And I think I misspoke. I think I said I got 100 of them. It's got to be more than 100. I think it's 300 is the order.
Okay, that could be.
Because it came in. I got the box right here. This is the box it came in, so that holds more than 100 cards. I think. I mean, you'll get.
Yeah, mine comes in a big brown box.
Yeah.
So.
Does it say here? No, it really doesn't say.
That does look like more than 100, though.
Yeah, I'm looking up the order. I'm pretty sure it was 300, actually.
And obviously, you're not going to get as good a price if you order a couple hundred versus a few thousand. So that's kind of your other decision is, you get them for less per card, but it obviously costs you more for the bigger order.
Right.
So you have to decide how much you want to put out there. I don't want to keep reordering them, and I've got the design that I really like, so I just bought a big pile of them at a time.
And I will do the same thing once I'm satisfied and I'm like, okay, this is exactly what I want. I will do a bigger order. Like I said, I just did a smaller quantity to get started to make sure it was what I thought it was going to be. And now that I'm pretty happy with it, the next order will be a much bigger one.
Yeah, they have very quality products at one of the best prices. I've actually been ordering from them for probably 15, 20 years now. Business cards for different reasons. I've done a lot of trading cards with them. They do custom trading cards. I've done 8 or 10 different trading card designs with them for my costume stuff. And yeah, they've never disappointed. They've always done a really good job with me. They ship well. Like I said, price is really good. So yeah, I'm very happy. I suppose we should probably tell everybody where it's from, where we get them at.
Probably would be nice, huh?
So it's the website called www.gotprint.com. So gotprint.com is where I order them from, and they've got a bunch of different types of paper logo type stuff you can order. Just click on the link for what you want. They have a lot of pre-made templates, and you can just kind of fit logos and text and images and things in there until they give it to you with the bleed, so you can see like how much is going to be cut off on the sides and the top and the bottom. So it's real easy to make your layout, and then just have to order what you want from there. If you want glossy, if you want matte, if you want two-sided color or one-sided, black and white, whatever you want. There's all those different options as well. Finalize that, and then choose a quantity, and the price, of course, decreases per card with quantity.
Yep.
So you can get the price down pretty good if you're willing to buy enough at a time.
Took me a while to get in because I haven't committed my password to memory yet. I had to look it up. It didn't save it last time, but so that was 500 cards I got, and that ended up being, with taxes and shipping, about $38.55. So.
And I ordered 5,000 last time, and I usually have a coupon because, like I said, I've been doing business with them forever, and I'm subscribed to them, so they email me stuff. So I usually try to order when I have a coupon, and I think with the coupon last time I paid $121 for 5,000 cards. 121 something. There was some change in there, but 100. So really, really fair pricing.
And fast.
Yes, and very fast. And they are printed in the USA. I know everybody is kind of thinking more globally now with, do I want to get something printed in China and sent here? How's that going to go? Or what is that going to cost me? The prices have all gone up on that stuff too. So it's nice. They're in the States, printed here, they're cut here, they're shipped from here. All those things help with cost, and like Charlie said, time. Yeah, you get them I usually get it in like 4 or 5 days.
Right.
From order. So you place an order, then they send you a proof that you have to approve. You have to initial that it's correct, which is common with most, marketing type materials. So you approve that. They say, great, sending it to printer. And then, you got about 4 or 5 business days from there. And you'll get them in your hands. So not to throw a plug at GotPrint. We just wanted to share our experience with that, and that, we like the cards. And I do get questions on it occasionally from viewers, other sellers that are like, I only do this part-time. Do you think I should get business cards? Yes, get business cards. They're fairly inexpensive in the grand scheme of things, and I think it adds some professionalism. So even if you look at it from like the angle of your feedback, or it just, you can ship with confidence, right? You put your card in there. This is my store. This is my performance. Here's your card. You got great customer service. You got your card quick. You can write thank you on the business. So if you're sending thank you notes right now or whatever, replace that with a business card and just write a thank you right on there. So I don't know. I'm a fan. A lot of times when you talk to people now, they're like, "Oh, business cards. That's so like 1985," because everything had to be done on paper, and now it's like, well, I just have taglines in my emails and blah 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 blah. That's great, but it doesn't always work when you're in person trying to do stuff. Yes, the person just ordered a card from me. They can simply go to their eBay history and see what else I have and make another order. But I want to be in their head. I think it's still hard to get into a customer's head because they can, buy from any person on eBay. So I send them that business card. Now they get it in the mail. Now they get the business card sitting there, and they're like, "Oh, I need a Freddie Freeman card. Oh, let me scan this guy and just see what he has." And, I had a good, experience with his store. I'll just go there right away. It just allows you to live in their head a little bit. a little bit more than maybe another seller, and that's a huge advantage when you don't have a personal contact with the
Yeah.
buyer. All right, we should probably get to chat. We're like an hour in on this thing here. We haven't even said hi to
Chatty,
anybody
chatty,
yet.
chatty.
Chatty, chatty. All right, here we come. Get your chats in. All right, Dan says, what up, fellas? Can you believe it's the third GOAT card show in less than a month away? Yeah, it does seem a little crazy. I remember when we were talking to you in July, and we're like, we're going to try to do this show. Hopefully, we don't totally shit the bed, and this thing isn't anything, and it's the only one we ever do. That certainly wasn't the case. The like anything, doing the first one is the toughest one. We spent a lot of time just doing things by hand, running around, dropping off flyers. And we're still doing that. We have not let up on the advertising at all, just to let
Right.
everybody know, customers, vendors, whatever. We're still pushing. Heck, when I went and made the food donations to the pantry here, I talked with the receiver, the in shipment, whatever person there, and her son is into Pokemon. So I gave her a flyer and said, hey, well, we got another show coming up in March. He's not going to want to miss it. There's some good stuff there. We got great Pokemon dealers. So, I've got flyers up in the mall. I have a business that I do some card business with there that puts flyers up for us. The card shops. In fact, the card shop contacts me now and says, hey, we don't have any flyers left. Do you want to drop some off? Which is amazing. So I bring some there. We put stuff up on bulletin boards. The venue will have us on their marquee again this time, a week or so before the show. So everyone driving by on Main Street, where our venue's on Main Street in Green Bay, will see it and know that there's a card show that they should come to. So we're really nailing that, and I think that's the key right now is to get growth, is to make sure people come. So we understand that, and that is definitely our focus. And staying true to our dealers. We want to keep our dealers happy. We want to make sure they have good opportunities to book first, to come back to the next show. We offer discounts for those that want to set up multiple tables, and so yeah, we're very proud of where we're at with the third show. It almost feels like we've been doing this for like 2 years now, doesn't it?
It does seem longer than the third show.
It doesn't. It doesn't. Like, it doesn't feel like we've done a ton of shows. It just feels like we've been doing it forever, which is really weird. That's contradictory. I understand that, but the show isn't really that long. It's a few hours in a day, but there's a ton of stuff to do.
That's true.
In between the shows, so I think that's why it feels like both. Is the only way to put it, but. Yeah, I've had a lot of people come up to me and talk to me now about, hey, we liked the show, we enjoyed the show. We had one of our vendors kindly bring Charlie and myself each a gift at the last show, Green Bay show we were set up at. It's kind of a thank you for buying from him. He'll be set up again there. Does a lot of non-sport stuff, which is amazing. We're trying to get some more growth in that area besides Pokemon and gaming. So. Yeah, they're really looking forward to the third one. I think this is the first one where I'm not nervous that everything is gonna go really. You know what I mean? Because the first one, you're like, well, I got to try to sell tables because I signed this contract and I got to give this place money.
Right.
So you really focus on that. Then you're like, well, I hope people show up to buy stuff because otherwise the vendors aren't going to come back. So there's like all these things, when you're first building it up that you have to kind of go through in the correct steps to get a good show going. And I feel like now that's all there. We just have to stay focused on it and keep adding some pieces to continue interest, and then like I said, try to make more of a media experience. Try to bring some of you along with us who can't go to the show, be able to enjoy the show. Yes, obviously you can't buy and sell the cards there, but that's why we want to do the live show during the card show. We feel like we can bring you along with us a little bit, and that should be some fun. So, All right, enough about our show, I guess. Chris says, yo, yo, yo.
Yo.
Yo to you as well. Joe is here. He says, good evening, boys. We're bees instead of goats now, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, just one other thing to touch on with the goat show. We've been getting asked quite a bit about merchandise, and that is on the radar. Merchandise is expensive, and it takes something to get it produced, and you got to design the items and things like that. So I don't think we're going to have much for this next show. We were working more on buying the advertising materials, getting the right images at the show. So the budget we had for that type of stuff went there this time, and then I think next time we'll start doing more things that you could either purchase, we could give away, use as giveaways, whatever. So stickers and trading cards and things like that. So that is in the plans. I just don't think that's all going to come out at this next show. We don't want to throw everything into we want something to be excited for each show too. So
Right.
I think it's fun to add some pieces here and there, just to have something fresh each time. Lofi Joe says, good evening, all. Good evening to you as well, sir. Afternoon, guys. Good to see y'all. My third year, first 1099. You broke the 1099 cherry. Yeah,
Well, the threshold changes every year, right?
Well, yes and no. It was $20,000 for like ever, which didn't matter for me. I was always over that, so I've been getting the 1099s for, I don't know, 15 years or something. This past year, or a few years ago, when the COVID budgets came out, they squeezed in there that anything over $600 in online digital payment accounts would get a 1099. They kind of held off on that and said, "Oh, you can't just throw this at people right away," and they put it off for a couple of years. And this past year, they decided to put it at $5,000. So if you did 5,000 this past year, you got a 1099. And now next year, I believe it's going to just that regular amount. It's either 600 or 1,000. I can't remember what their final number was they decided on. But next year, it's going to be pretty small. So there's going to be a lot of 1099s going out. I have no clue how the IRS is going to even keep up with all of it. But that's up to them, not us. You just have to take your 1099s and file it. And I know a lot of people were upset about it. They're like, "Oh, geez, now I gotta." To me, it was actually really nice when they started doing it because it takes the some of the math work out of it for me. The 1099 just has everything that you sold right on there. All you really have to work on, since we decided we were going to talk a little bit about taxes, I'm going to start right there with this. All you really have to work on is the other side of your business, and that's your expenses and your cost of goods. And are you doing cash method? How do you want to do your accounting? You just have to figure that out. You don't really have to worry about the sales, because that 1099 number, that's the number that was reported. That's the number you got to put down for sales, and then you just got to get everything else off of it that you possibly can to reduce your tax obligation to it. So think of the 1099. If you got a 1099, that means business is pretty good, right? That means you had sales, and then they kind of did the homework for you on the sales side. All you have to do, like I said, is use your the subtraction side of things is your responsibility. Joe says, thanks for all the advice on being a first-time show dealer last week, and just bought a table again for next month.
One of us. One of
One
us.
of us. Well, kind of. Kind of. We don't really do shows.
Yeah, just a couple.
We have our quarterly show we do at KI, which actually Charlie was kind enough to take the table from me this next month because I can't do it. My daughter's got a dance recital, so obviously I'm not going to miss that. So I won't be doing this next KI show. But Yeah, there are a lot of dealers that's what they do every weekend. They're setting up at a show, and that's how they do their sales. So I think it's a great piece of your card selling. I think it's an important piece of your card selling because your community is showing up there. Obviously, you should have customers showing up there. It gives you a chance to organize and talk to people. Hey, well, what are you looking for? What cards are you buying? What cards are you not buying?
Right.
So it kind of should help you that way. And if you can make money doing it, even better, obviously. So, Joe, I'm happy for you. I'm glad it went well, and uh, wish you luck on the next one.
He shared in the Discord he did have one bad experience.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Some youngster caused a little bit of chaos for him.
Well, that can happen. Yeah, I haven't been keeping up as well with the Discord recently either. I've had a lot going on, so I'll try to do that. Our Discord has become very active.
Yeah.
I'll log in the afternoon to finally look at some stuff, and it's like, man, there's posts in every single channel. That's a good thing. That's what we want, and we want everybody to kind of be able to talk to each other. So you're not just listening to me and Charlie all the time, because we're not that. We're learning too. We are by no means the experts in all the areas. I think we have great experience and um, life knowledge as well. But yeah, I think the Discord is the right place to be to bounce a lot of this stuff off. Robert is here. He says, I found my reports. Can't figure out how to find bottom line totals in the spreadsheet. Do I need a special program to print? Y'all may not be able to understand. I'm technology handicapped. So, bottom line totals. I'm guessing you're referring to your bottom line totals of eBay sales. And I wouldn't get that from the spreadsheets at all. I would use that number on the 1099 because that's the number the IRS is expecting to see on your tax return. So go with that. And then you should be tracking your expenses and cost of goods and all that. So wherever you have that information, if that's spreadsheets or notebooks or however you're doing it, that information you need to use to counter that 1099 number. But you definitely want to use the 1099. That's the amount that was reported on your behalf from eBay to the IRS. Now, I actually get two from eBay because I have two different eBay's accounts. So I get one for each. So I have to report both of those. Then I have YouTube income, and then I have Shopify, and then I have so that 1099s come fast and furious. When you build out enough, you'll start to get them pretty regularly. And it's not really, honestly, it's not really that complicated. Think about like your job, right? So you get a paycheck, and then at the end of the year, you get a W-2, right? And the W-2 says this is how much money you made. This was, how much you made without Social Security, stuff like that. And you simply just put in the numbers that are in the boxes on that form. A 1099 is basically the exact same thing. You just won't have any taxes withheld. You won't have any of that information on there. You'll literally just have the dollar amount on the 1099. So just put that form with your taxes, put that number. When you get to the part doing your taxes and it says, did you get any 1099s? Yes, you did. What was the amount on your 1099 and who did you get it from? You just simply put the information from the 1099 right on there, and boom, you matched what the IRS was reported, and then you just do your profits and loss and all that stuff, your Schedule C's from there. If you're a business.
Yes, the Schedule C.
If you're a business. I can't stress this enough. I am not a tax professional. I do my own taxes, but if you want true tax advice and somebody to look at your individual tax situation, because everybody's is different, then you need to find a certified, accountant that can take a look at that with you. Dan says, if you want big hits, buy a case. New goal for me in 2026.
There you go. Buy a
I would,
case, come
you
on out
know,
to the show and break it.
if I bought a whole case of something and I didn't hit anything in it, I would be pretty disappointed. I would think that that's a big enough number that you should at least get something. I'm not saying you're going to get your money back, but you should at least get a nice hit out of it, which should help get your money back. But yeah, you're probably not going to get that case amount back. But I know where you're coming from, Dan. You're just saying buy more stuff and rip it because that's the Dan way.
That's the Dan way.
That's the Dan way. Robert says he's frustrated with his Epson 400 scanner, trying to clean to get rid of print lines. Cheap scanner, or could it be my penny sleeves? So I tried to take a nap today and it didn't work. I had the kid here. So a couple things to unpack in this. I do not use penny sleeves. I scan all my stuff raw. Put them in the scanner, hit scan, never had a problem with it. Make sure your cards aren't too thick because the scanner doesn't like thick cards. Or die cuts or anything like that. But so the penny sleeves could be your problem. I doubt it if it's just print lines. Print lines shouldn't be a cause of a sleeve. That would be more of like the sleeve bunches up and you see that or something. But maybe your sleeves have lines on them. I guess I don't really see lines on it, so I doubt it's from the sleeves. Yeah, if you're getting print lines, you need to take the rollers, open the printer as however it instructs you to do that, and then wipe down those rollers as best you can. Oh, you have the scanner right now. I was going to show them one of the wipes, but I don't have the scanner. But yeah, Jenny found a big pack of wipes on Amazon or something, and they're literally like little wet nap packets. And you open it up, and it's kind of damp, but it's not wet. You definitely don't want to use a wet nap. They're not made for electronics, but they do make wipes specifically for electronic devices, and that's what you want to get. And then you just kind of want to keep rolling the rollers and just wipe it down gently, as you're rolling it through, and it should remove any sort of ink or card dust or debris on
Basic
it.
wipes.
Cleansing wipes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she said they were really cheap, right? Like $7 for like 200 of them or something.
Just basic lens and screen wipes.
So, and Charlie and I are kind of fortunate that we share the scanner because it kind of forces our cleaning schedule to happen. Because it's like, well, I got to give it to Charlie. I'm going to clean. I got to take it all apart and put it in a box anyway. I'll open it up and clean it. That at least that's kind of how I do it. Or if I don't have time, I'll tell Charlie I kind of forgot to clean it. I didn't have time to clean it, so he can clean it right away. Like this last time, when I took it from Charlie, he said, "Well, I didn't have a chance to clean it yet. No problem. I brought it home. Before I set it all up, I cleaned it up real nice, and I got it all set up and ready to go." So, we basically do our cleaning maintenance, I would say, every 2 weeks or so, just because that's the natural course of our share program with our custody agreement over the over the scanner. But yeah, I wouldn't. We scan quite a few cards. I don't know how many are scanning, but I wouldn't want to go, more than a couple thousand cards without wiping it down good. Especially if you're doing like, I find like the white matte cards are kind of the worst culprits.
They scan well, but they leave the most
Big
residue.
Yeah, because they have like, there's almost like a dust to them that it kind of leaves behind. So
angel dust.
No, that's something else, Charlie. That'll make you do this. Remember, what's wrong with you, Smokey? Nothing. Yeah, if you're going to scan a lot of Allen and Ginter or Topps Big League or something like that, where it's more of like a traditional white or bunch of vintage, pack fresh vintage cards or something like that, well, you'll have that too. Then you might want to clean it a little bit more often because it's more susceptible to getting that print line film on it. So
a little bit. I'm thinking about his question, is it the scanner? It could be the penny sleeves. And I think penny sleeves have a little bit of a magnetic property as far as static cling. So I think penny sleeves will pick up any kind of little residue. So that may be why you're getting a little more residue in there that's causing some of those print lines. And you may, if you're going to scan in penny sleeves, maybe you do have to clean it a little more frequently.
Also, I don't know much about the Epson 400. It might just be a scanner that isn't really good for doing what we're trying to do. So but that's up to you. You'd have to look into that and and decide if it's just not doing what you want it to do and have to get a different one or whatever. But we have the Fujitsu or the Ricoh 8170, which is the one Car Dealer Pro suggests as well. And other than once in a grand while, I haven't had any problems with print lines.
No.
I don't really agree with scanning it in a sleeve because I think the whole point of scanning the card is so that you can get that really clear image of whatever's going on with that card, and I don't think that the sleeve helps you with that. I think you're still gonna. What if you have? I have a lot of sleeves where there's like a little wrinkle in it or a divot or something like that. Just from unless it's a brand new sleeve you're using every time, there can be blemishes. Here's one that's got like a little wrinkle in it, right? Well, that might show up and it might look like, well, geez, there's a scratch on the card or there's this indentation on the card or something like that. Well, it's not. It's on the sleeve. So
right.
I'm a raw card scanner, and I know what some people say about that. Oh, you're going to ruin the cards, and that just has never been the case for me. So
yeah, I haven't seen it.
So at least with our scanner, now we're speaking about our scanner. I've never used an Epson 400, but I don't see the point in. In fact, I like de-sleeving my cards to keep them in. Unless they're like a refractor or something condition sensitive, then I'll re-sleeve them. But I generally take my stack I'm going to scan and I de-sleeve them all, run them through, put them in the bag, and then it's done. And then when I sell them, I have my stacks of sleeves here, and I sleeve them and I ship them out. So to me, it's a better way to maintain the inventory. It takes up less room. They pack nice and neat in a bag. Here's a bag right here. No sleeves on these. They're Yo MTV Raps cards, or in my case, Yo 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 MTV Raps cards. But that's how I do it. So yeah. Otherwise, you're gonna have to go on like some Epson forums or something and find out if other people have had problems. Ask Reddit. Maybe AI has some information for you on Epson Scanner 400 experiences. I don't know, but you don't. I think you're taking a card, you're putting it in a sleeve, you're scanning it, and you're getting print lines. To me, you'd be better off just taking a photo of the card in that instance. I think you'd get a much better quality representation of the card doing that than continuing to use the scanner, quality-wise. All right, Max says, I'm here chipping away at his Pocket Monster mountain of bulk. Well, that sounds fun. Win Accounting was a great show and well worth the painstaking drive. Yeah, I agree. It was kind of difficult to get out of the parking lot when I left. I didn't stay there all day. I had my niece's hockey tournament to go to, as we spoke about earlier in the show. And because there was no visible lines for parking, there's a lot of people who cannot park. Like they can't put together the math in their own head. So my line of cars was, it was actually parked pretty straight when I looked down it. But the next line kind of went like this. So I get back to my Jeep and there's like a car like a foot from my bumper. And I'm like, well, that's not going to work. And of course, there's a car on the other side of me. So I had to do this whole back out, go forward, back out, go forward, Can't see anything because it's snowing like the Dickens out there, so I couldn't see really how close I was to the other car. Unfortunately, my Jeep doesn't have backup cameras. It's a little bit older than it's the model year before they put those in.
Of
So,
course.
of course, and I love my Jeep, so I don't care. But yeah, it would have been handy on this day of snow, but got out of there. But yeah, I had a great time at the Winneconne show. I talked to a lot of people and talked to one of our dealers. Our American Bandstand selling dealer was there. So I talked to him about getting a table. We were able to kind of firm something up with him because he wasn't sure of the dates, and he's got a daughter in college sports and things like that.
Yeah.
Lots going on. So it's just always nice to reconnect with you know people that too, just to kind of see what's going on, and if they're going to be able to attend and have some fun with you as well. I actually went up there first because uh, his table was kind of a fun experience for me because I was kind of walking past and I was looking for a specific card at this show, which I never do. And this is a small show. It's like 30 tables and obviously a few people didn't make it in due to weather. And I needed a score Justin Herbert rookie card. And I'm like, where am I going to find this at the show, So ironically enough, I was kind of walking around the corner past a value box that I was going to dig in, and I see in his showcase he's got a score Justin Herbert rookie card for $8 or something like that.
Yeah.
Now you're going to say, well, why are you looking for that? Well, I sold one to a customer and I couldn't find it in my inventory. So I'm like, you know what? Since I'm going to a show today, I'll see if I can find one and I'll just buy it and I'll send it to him. And so that was kind of funny. So he had one in his showcase for $8. I sold mine for $5 online. So I didn't want to pay $8 for it if I didn't have to. But he had a 3-pack cereal box of wacky packages from 2013, and he wanted $10. Now there's 64 stickers in between those 3 boxes, and you get a couple exclusive ones in each. They call them cereal boxes because they're like the mini cereal boxes. Yeah. Remember when you were a kid, at like hotels and stuff?
Yeah.
And he had $10 on that. I'm like, man, $10 is a good deal. So I saw non-sport, right? I found some non-sport, that I could crack, and I've sold a few cards out of those boxes. I ripped them and scanned them, of course, right away. But so I'm like, all right, that's $10. He wants $8 for the Justin Herbert. So I'm like, hey, well, you take 15 so now I got my Herbert card for $5. So I'm at a wash on my sale, which is great. My customer's happy. I'm not out any money. It's a break-even mark for me. And I got my Wacky Packages box or package for $10, which was a heck of a deal, I thought.
Nice.
And then it was also this dealer who sells the American Bandstand cards. I'm like, hey, bring another case of those American Bandstand cards to the GOAT show. I want another case. We're going to use them as giveaways or as like a pack option to give away. Oh, excuse me. As well as I cracked a box of those just for funsies, and I listed them, and I sold a whole bunch of them. I was like, man, people want to buy these? So I was like, I'll take another case. $10 for a case, $2 a box. Like, you can't. How do you go wrong? So anyway, so I hit the trifecta right at this dealer's table. The odds of that happening, and then gave him a flyer, and he committed to the show and stuff too. I was like, man, that's interesting that you could run into that at a smaller show like that and get all those things checked off at one place.
You never know.
Never know. All right. That was my story. Was it pretty good?
It was riveting.
I thought so. That's about the most exciting thing that happens in my life.
It certainly was unique. You were out hunting for a Justin Herbert score rookie.
And like I said, it was in his showcase. Like, what, it's an $8 card. Why is it in his showcase? Yeah, it was just, and he's like, I think I pack pulled that. He's like, I just threw it in there because I had it. And I'm like, well, I'm going to take it. So it was great. I could give my dealer some business. I made my customer happy online. I wasn't really out any money. I got it for what I sold it for. minus fees, but that's okay. That happens sometimes. And I got some really cool non-sport stuff that I never see for a really good price. And I'm going to get another case of American Bandstand, so pretty happy about that. Let's see. Branded Collectibles is here. He says, "What's happening, y'all? Hope everyone is having a good night." Hey, Joe. Thanks for bringing us along for the ride. Glad you came out to the show in the black. It's always nice when once you hit that mark where you're past your table fee. Does make it feel justified, doesn't it?
Right.
Max says, "Congrats. We'll always have bumps and bruises along the way, though. Even after a couple years, there's usually always one per show." Yeah. Yep, a lot of variables in a show because they're generally free to attend in most markets, and anyone can come in. So,
Right.
Sky's the limit. A lot of chats in Discord on where do you enter your inventory. So, can you explain where you enter it? Enter your inventory. Oh, like the value of your inventory?
Yeah, it must
Is that what
be
you're
for
asking?
tax purposes.
For tax purposes? Well, it probably depends on the tax program or what forms you're completing. Again, I'm not a tax person, so probably not the right one to ask. But on my tax software, every year it asks me, what's the value of your inventory at the end of the year, and I fill that in every year. So it's basically just whatever is the difference from your inventory the year before. So when you're doing it first year, it's always going to be the worst because you don't have like numbers to go back to. When you do it year after year, you just kind of go, okay, well, I ended my inventory at this last year, and my inventory is this year, and that should be all you have to do. So it should be pretty self-explanatory where you need to put it. Max says first year or two you file taxes under a new business, I would always encourage using an accountant. You'll find plenty to pay for their service. I tend to agree with this. The first year I filed self-employed taxes, I did have an accountant do it. And it kind of, to Max's point, I did it for that exact reason. I just wanted an outline of what my taxes should look like.
Mm-hmm.
So I paid up. Don't be fooled into thinking like, oh, I hired an accountant, I don't have to do anything. That's not true at all. Your accountant basically just puts all the numbers down. You have to give them the receipts. You have to give them the totals, or she. They're not going to know that information. So you're still doing a lot of work. They're just making sure that any credits that should be there or things that can be deducted or should be there. You have to have all the information. You still have to do all the work to maintain the numbers and stuff to be able to do those taxes. But yeah, I agree, Max. That's exactly what I did. I hired a pretty good named local accountant in town here. I went to his office a couple of times, brought him. Remember, this was like 25 years ago. So I brought him boxes of receipts and things. And we put everything together. They package it nice for you. So you have all your stuff together. And it was a great little outline for me to use, for the years going forward to build off of. And that's your time to ask your questions. You can say, hey, can I deduct this? Can I not deduct that? Now tax law changes every year, but not really drastically for the most part. So in that first year, if you can, work everything out with your accountant and get your best tax situation figured out, you should be able to kind of apply that year after year. I deduct this amount of square footage in my house for my home office or something like that. Well, that square footage isn't going to change next year. So you just put that down again, assuming you're using the same space. So yeah, I think to just try to entirely trip through it yourself, especially if you don't know what you're doing or you don't understand taxes. An account might not be a bad investment for that first year. And he's right. It's a few $100 to do it, but they'll probably find you a couple $100 that you would miss doing your taxes yourself your first year. So I don't know that it would necessarily pay for itself. Maybe in some situations it would, but you should get a good chunk of it covered because they found some stuff that you wouldn't have found. If that makes sense. Robert says, thanks for the 1099 help. I sponsored 2 card shows last year. Have first one for 2025, 15th March. I need to pump some life into it. Everyone I talked to said they enjoy shows, vendors, and buyers. Yeah, I think interesting. 2 shows last. You mean, and you say sponsored? Do you mean promoted? Because those are 2 different things. I need to pump some life into it. Everyone said they enjoyed it. Maybe you are just a sponsor. I shouldn't say just, but maybe you are the sponsor for the show and you're just trying to get it exposure, you know, in exchange for whatever you get from the show. But yeah, I think, it's like anything, you know, if you get a show going, you kind of rest on your laurels and don't do anything with it, it's probably going to die. I think you have to continue to put some effort into it and, you know, listen to your vendors, listen to your, you know, your patrons, the people that attend the show.
Yep.
Oh, it's too big, it's too small, it's too cold in here, there isn't enough light, there isn't the, you know, and try to make as many accommodations as you can based on, you know, those requests. I think that that's what will keep a show thriving.
Gotta listen to the people, right?
Yeah. Also, you might be lucky enough to be the only show in your area, and then it probably doesn't matter. You can probably doesn't even need to be a great show, and you could still keep it going. But doesn't mean somebody isn't going to jump in and try to make a better show. So, Max is asking, is it a flatbed scanner?
I don't think it is. I don't think it
I
is.
wouldn't think. I don't know why you'd get print lines on a flatbed scanner, but I don't know.
Yeah, I just looked up the Epson 400. It doesn't look like that is a flatbed.
I thought it was a feeding scanner too, but I don't know. Robert says I'll try the no sleeve on some common cards and take it out. Thanks again. You're welcome. Good luck. Hopefully maybe that will fix it for you. Just keep ripping is the Dan way. Totally didn't just buy 3 megas of the new NFL Topps Chrome just now. Oh, I can't wait for that. Is it out yet or is it still pre-order?
I don't think it's out yet.
I got to get to the shop and pick some of that up because Topps Chrome, man, that's my jam. Actually, Finest was my favorite, like, brand or set or whatever you want to call it, in the 90s, and loved it in 2000s. Topps Finest couldn't be beat, so I'm so excited to see that back. I know it's still unlicensed. Yes, and it's still unlicensed, but that's okay. I'm willing to.
There's some out there. You can get a mega box or a value box right now.
I wonder why they didn't just do composite again, just to keep that taste in our mouth of, you know, the things that Topps can do, the sets Topps wants to do, kind of thing. I really like composite. It was by far my favorite set last year.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too. It won me over.
It was good value. The prices stayed, you know, in a decent price range. A lot of good vets and Hall of Famers, and, you know, all those awesome Topps Chrome, you know, parallels, the negatives, and the, you know, sepia refractors and X fractors and stuff. Yeah, solid product. Robert says not a flatbed. Dan says Walmart is delivering Topps Megas on Saturday. It said on the site just now. Well, good luck with your rips, Dan. I hope you get everything you're hoping for. I don't even really know what's in it, and I don't care. I'll buy some because it's Topps Chrome football.
Yeah.
That's enough for me. The composite stuff sold extremely well for me. I got really good value out of all that.
Yeah, it did all right. Even when I picked them up out of boxes later.
Yes, exactly. Oh, Max was thinking of the V600. Yeah,
Okay.
I don't really know my scanners that well. When Charlie and so scanning for us was kind of a weird story. It was something that I had brought up, you know, a few months into going pro, if you want to call it that, or going full time. I said we should consider a scanner. Maybe we could just split it. Yeah, and he was like, "No, I'm just doing this as a little side thing. I don't want to do all that." A couple of months went by, and then he's like, "We should get a scanner." And I was like, "Really?" And then I'm like, "Well, maybe I don't need a scanner now. Now I've got 30,000 listings. Do I really need the scanner?" Um, and yes, you need a scanner. Like if you're going to do it at our volume for sure. So it was pretty evident that it was a no brainer. And then we were like, which one do we get? And we just decided if we're going to do it, let's do the right one. Um, and the 8170 was just what everybody, the consensus was that was the best one to use.
Yeah.
So we went with that and haven't been disappointed since. But um, yeah, I don't know. There are a lot of different scanners out there. I'm sure there's newer scanners than the one we got, and maybe they're a little better. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
and in fairness, we don't even use all the bells and whistles the
no,
8170 has.
no,
So more than likely, some of the other models would be just fine. Like we're not
true.
knocking any of the other models or saying you got to get an 8170. It's the cat's meow. It seems to be a really good scanner. We like it. It was Car Dealer Pro was optimized against it, so that was kind of a selling point for us as well.
Agreed.
But
I was
at the
just going
same
to say the
time,
software had an influence on it.
yeah, at the same time, I would have to acknowledge too that we certainly had a unique situation where we had some pooled resources.
Right,
Even myself, if I was just getting a scanner myself and we weren't pooling it, maybe I wouldn't have gotten the 8170. Maybe I would have
right.
gotten one of the other models.
Yeah, and I think to me, what I've just from having ours this long now, and just from hearing from you guys and other users of different scanners, to me, what one of the biggest difference makers is not necessarily the quality of scans because I don't even use the highest DPI setting. So to me, image quality it should be fine on pretty much any of the scanners. To me, it's more the feeder. I think is the bigger difference between the scanners because usually when I hear from you guys where I'm having troubles or this isn't working well, it's usually I'm getting print lines or my cards are getting jammed or it won't take top loaded, images. I have to take them out of the top loads. To me, that's the biggest difference in these scanners, really, for what we're doing, um, is just how to get the cards through the machine. And the 8170 just does a great job with cards. Um, so,
Even simple things like in the Discord, someone was asking the other day, where do I find the risers and the catch bins? And well, the ones that we have were 3D printed to the risers are notched specifically for the 8170. And I tried to help look around and see if I could find any for any other printers or some universal ones, and I didn't really quickly find them. Now you could make your own catch bin pretty simple, and you could create your own riser situation by putting anything flat for it to stand on. So do you have to have custom made risers for this stuff? No, but it is a nice to have when these were custom designed to notch right into the bottom of the 8170.
yeah, I agree. There were just so many advantages to the 8170. And Charlie's right. With splitting the budget, that helps a ton. If you don't have to pony up with the big bucks all by yourself. But I think in the long run, it definitely paid for itself. I don't feel like
Yeah.
there wasn't value in it, especially if you're going to use Car Dealer Pro or some listing program. If you're not, you might not need the scanner because yeah, it'll help you capture images. Um, but you still have to list them by hand if you're not going to use a listing program. But I strongly suggest if you're going to use Car Dealer Pro or what's the other one? I can't
Grazio,
think.
yeah.
Carnazio. Um, it just makes a lot of sense to use a scanner because it just throws the images right in there, and the
Flex.
software. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think if you're dabbling in this or you're just doing this as a fun little side hustle, do you need a scanner? Absolutely not. I don't think it's required at all. Um, if you want to run this as a business and do this seriously and try to volumize what you're trying to do, yeah, scanner is definitely a tool that has to be just like a thermal printer, right, Charlie?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it becomes an essential, right?
for sure. Let's see, where are we? Just saw a breaker hit a Caleb Williams auto out of Chrome.
Is that
Nice.
good?
That's the Bears' next benched quarterback. So yes, for now.
The Bears. Where are they from?
Chicago. Chicago. I've been watching the new Connors series. The more modern one. Roseanne's not on
Oh,
it, of
the
course, but it's
Roseanne spinoff. Yeah, I
yeah,
watched
the
a little bit of
Roseanne spinoff. And there's this episode where it's kind of intense. There's like a shooting at the school, so there's like a parental warning on before the episode, and Dan has a gun, and nobody knew in the house that he even had a gun, and he's like, it's locked in a safe in my room, and they're like, well, we all know what the combination is. It's the same combination everybody uses here in this town. It's the year the Bears won the Super Bowl, 1985. And he's like, well, now I have to go change the combination. Um, and it just made me chuckle. I mean, it was fun to have some levity in an episode like that. But yeah, it was. It's about right. That's about right for the Bears. They're still living in
Yeah,
1985.
Jimmy Mack.
Jimmy Mack. Yep, he was something. Uh, Walter Payton. Let's face it. It was Walter Payton was the man,
Yeah.
literally, and he was an amazing human besides. So shout out to Payton. Love the fire ladder for Car Dealer Pro. What's the fire ladder? Oh, fire ladder. Excuse me. He followed it up with he meant for the scanner. Okay, that makes more sense. So he's talking your big shooter stacker thing that you got.
We're calling that a fire ladder. This guy here.
Yep.
This guy.
I have zero interest in that thing at all. It looks atrocious.
Yeah,
Can you imagine if we were shipping that thing back and forth every 2 weeks?
Well, it wouldn't be that bad. It weighs like 5 pounds, and
Yeah, but it's big, and then you got the scanner. Besides, it doesn't fit in the box with the scanner. So,
oh my gosh, you're so
and
whiny.
and we each have our own bins and stands, so we don't want to have to share that. So it's
Yeah.
literally just a little scanner box each time. It's amazing.
So the Autoloader 1000, I think that's the official name for it. It is like I could see if you were a Burbank Sports Cards or something, I could see where that would be a tool that you would be using because of the volume they're going through. I have loaded it up a couple of times. The problem I have is nothing with the autoloader. It's that if I load it up with 1,000 cards, I feel like I need to finish those before I go on to something else. And with my time situation, I hardly ever can sit down and go through a whole 1,000 of them. So I don't use it as much as I would have thought. Now, I do use it sometimes with smaller batches too, just because it's handy in that I can step away a little bit and let it run. I don't know if I would do that with a full 1,000 batch loaded up. But if I put a couple hundred in there, I am pretty comfortable stepping away now and then while it's running them through. So it does come in handy at times, but I don't use it every day.
I think it would come into play more for me if I wasn't doing the bags. You know, if you're
The-
doing like if you're doing like a box A, box B, type system is instead of like 40 card batches per bag, then I could see, well, yeah, I might as well do a whole run of this half of the box.
yeah.
You know what I mean? If they're all going to go into the same spot, but for me, I scan my 50 cards. The other thing is, if you have an issue during scanning and you're trying to run 1,000 cards, it sucks because you
Mm,
might not get through it all. I don't really have to worry about it at 40 or 50 a crack. It just kind of
I think it's a challenge
keeps it
for
manageable.
you because you're the way you've explained how you have to do things. You have to complete a process, start to finish.
Right,
Um,
correct.
so like the
It's my
bag
preferred
situation for
method,
me
yes.
is would not be an issue because I can separate bags as I'm pulling them out of the catch bins and running them through like but I work different from you. So I think
Right.
it depends on how you optimize your own processes
But
and
I'm
what you're
I'm saying for me, if my batches were bigger than this, then I would use probably because to your point, I like to do it, run it. Here's a batch done.
right.
So if I was doing these in like 400 count bags, well then yeah, I'd probably want to do 400 scans. You see what I mean?
Your, your brain
Because I
would
would do
short
my best.
circuit if you ran 400 cards through, but you had to use 10 40 count bags.
Yes, I'm not going to do that. No. And what's the point? I can just do my 40 and then it's done. And then you
Yeah,
don't have to worry about if you get called away to do something else. But you're right, it's a different way to work. I'm pretty
yeah,
meticulous. I'm pretty meticulous in the thing I do, so I try to keep it in like manageable chunks so
yeah.
that I'm not going back through anything. But yeah,
You have
to each his own. You can scan one card at a time if you want. You can scan cards in top loads. You can scan sleeved cards. You can, there's all kinds of different ways to do it. You definitely have to figure out your way.
Yeah, you have to remember that everybody does things different. For example, one of the reasons it does come in handy for me is I don't scan and immediately run everything through CDP or list it. Like, especially with our scanner arrangement, I will pre-scan things to keep running through Card Dealer Pro and listing while you have the scanner. So I'll just run them through,
But
save them to my computer, and then I pull them into the listing tools as I need them.
yeah, and I do it totally different. I scan when I have the scanner, I use all my scans and I focus on that. When I don't, then I do my shiny,
Yeah.
which I do with my phone and doing photos. So yeah, and that's one of the reasons that we really wanted to start this show. I knew Charlie was different than I was. Not better, not worse, just we do things a little differently. I've been doing it longer than him and stuff like that. So we really felt like we could give a lot of different angles to how we do things, and hopefully most of you will find somewhere in there uh how it works for you, whether you do it
Right.
Charlie's way, my way, or some of
The
each way.
highway.
Yeah, the highway. Yeah, hit the road, Jack. We don't need you. No room for thirds. Robert says, thermal printer is next for me. I'm tired of printing and cutting and taping paper labels. Yeah, that gets old really
Oh my
fast.
gosh.
It's also too expensive.
So we've talked. Mrs. JC3 started her own eBay store selling books and a few other items, and I had forgotten what it was like to cut a label and tape it on until she sold her first book, and I forgot to change her settings for her labels. So I
Yeah.
printed it out on a sheet of paper, and I'm like, oh man, I used to think this was not so bad, but after having thermal labels for a year now,
Mhm.
it's agonizingly horrible.
Well, and what I would say, and then I'm going to point this to Robert, but really anybody who's watching this, if you're looking for a good thermal label printer, I found, and Charlie actually uses the same one now. I found one that I really like. Go into any of my videos, not these live videos because I don't put stuff in the description field, but any of my other videos, if you go in the description field, there's a bunch of links in there for products that we use, including the scanner, the 8170 we've been talking about. If you want to order any of those products, you can do it right through my affiliate links there. I have one on there for the thermal printer, and you can just click on the link there, order one. It helps support the channel. I do get affiliate funds for that. But yeah, I love my thermal printer. It's worked great for me. I've had no problems. So
yeah, I was looking for the box. I used to have the box handy that it came in, and I know I've shown it a few times when we talked about it, but couldn't find it right now after moving some things around and reorganizing in the last few months. I must have put it someplace else.
yeah, so just go into the description field in any of my videos, and the bottom half of the description will just be a bunch of different affiliate links, and there's one labeled thermal printer. Click on that sucker, and it'll get you the one that we use. All right, man, Robert, it's a must. Almost if you're doing any kind of quantity at all, you need the thermal label printer. Agreed. So, yeah, go ahead and order that right away. They're really not that expensive. I think they're more expensive than when I bought mine. I mean, everything's gone up in price.
Yeah.
Over the last couple of years, but because I think I didn't actually buy mine. A viewer sent one to me. When I looked it up at the time when I got it, it was like 50 or 55. I think they're like 65 or 70 now, right? I think it was even higher. I think it was up a little bit. Yeah. So if you go with the one that we use, I think it's like $65 or $70 now. Otherwise shop around and find whatever you think will work well for you. But it's a very small expense for what you get out of it. I mean, just the savings in ink. You'll spend $50-$60 in a pack of ink, and you won't get that many printings out of it. Plus, you got to buy paper and everything else. So,
a cautionary tale, and I know we shared this before too. This is my second thermal printer. The first one I bought was a little bit cheaper. I didn't follow Adam's recommendation, and the one I got was a terrible experience. I never did get it to work right, and ended up giving it away to somebody. And then I went out and bought the one Adam uses, and from day one it worked great, and I have not had an issue with it.
Yeah, sometimes I think we all kind of want to find our own products and stuff, and sometimes you just have to go with the one that other people use and works. I always want to try to be the creative head and do something different, and be the person who discovers it's amazing, and sometimes it just is what it is. The best one is already being used, and go with it. Now, the one I use is hardwired, so it's USB connected to a computer. It doesn't have Bluetooth, so you can save yourself a few bucks if you're going to plug into a computer. You don't have to buy the Bluetooth model.
Yeah.
If you want Bluetooth, so you could like print from your phone or tablet or whatever, then it's a few bucks more. So that affiliate link that I have will give you either option. You can buy either model, but the Bluetooth one is I think like $10 more. So if you want that function.
Yeah, if I ever have to get another one, I might have to upgrade to that. With two of us printing labels now, that could be handy, where one of us can print from our phone and the other one's on the laptop.
I think honestly, it would be better to just get a second printer.
You think so?
Yeah, she can have one connected to her printer when she prints. I mean, if you're only selling like one book every 4 weeks, no. But if daily, she gets to the point where she's daily having orders, yeah, I would.
That's true, because if they're both coming out of the same source.
Yeah, for the $50-$60, just get another one, and then you wouldn't have to worry about it. Unless you're using the same computer. If you're using the same computer, well, then. But
no, we are not.
Yeah, I would just say you'd each need your own in that instance. And make sure she uses my affiliate link when you order one. Boom Slang is here. He says, "Yo, I'm missing it." You're not missing it. You're here in plenty of time. Anybody having problems printing ESE labels? No, I am on this live video currently, so I'm not printing labels. But yeah, it sounds like it might be down.
I did some right before the show and I didn't have any problems, but obviously since we started, I have not tried it.
Yeah, that happens once in a while with eBay. You just kind of got to go back in and try it again later. Usually, if it's down long enough, you'll eventually see a note on your printing screen that says USPS is currently having trouble, blah blah blah, or whatever. And then yeah, you'll just have to go back and print labels later. I picked up a new file cabinet. It fits a ton of cards and has 8 drawers. I call it 52 because that is the sticker that was on it when I bought it. Makes sense. I actually put stickers on my file cabinet. I think it's kind of fun.
Yeah,
So
that's what I'm gonna do too.
I got Prism stickers. I got Pristine Auctions. I got some eBay stuff. Some Bo Jackson Heroes. A Mouse Droid. Some goats, of course. Arena. The Arena Club. Litecoin, Bitcoin. Card Dealer Pro. Like, yeah, it's fun. There's lots of, especially if you go to like the National or some of the bigger shows. There's lots of, the main vendors who have like stickers and stuff you can grab. I would love some Tops stickers. They never hand anything out. It's so cheap.
Yeah.
I got like a little squish ball one year. I have this little tiny pennant. It's like this big. I'm trying to make a triangle. It's like this big. This little tiny pennant that says Tops on it, and it's actually felt, and it's amazing. That's like the only cool thing I've ever really gotten from that.
Yeah, those ones I picked up recently, I'm just about done with the cleanup on the first one. Getting kind of excited for that one. I've got like one more coat of paint to put on it. The base is done. I'm finishing up on the 2 drawers inside of it, but they cleaned up really nice. Oh, there's the goat pillow. Look at that.
It screams at my lumbar.
Right. Yeah, so I'm excited to put another monster box, empty that out into the card drawer, I guess is what we'll call it.
There's my little Tops pennant. Isn't that rad? Nice. So simple. Like, just give these out, man. Give something cool like that out. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I'm glad you found a cabinet. That's something that, you kind of just have to keep an eye out for. You can't order a new one. They're about $2,000. Yeah. Brand new. $1,500 to do. Well, I guess you can. I wouldn't advise it. Right. But basically, they're just card catalog cabinets from back in the day, which, of course, nobody really uses card catalogs. That's why you can find these here and there. They're getting scooped up to be used for, like, our types of purposes. People are finding their ways to reuse those kinds of things. But, yeah, if you find one and you get a decent price on it, less than a couple $100, buy it. You won't be disappointed. I still think that's probably the comment I get the most now on my sales day videos, is because I shoot at the cabinet now of pulling the orders. That's what I get a lot of is, where'd you get those cabinets? Where'd you get the, I didn't know they sold metal card, baseball card cabinets. I'm like, well, they don't, I'm using it that way.
So in my day job, I actually work with an office furniture producer known for their file cabinets. And one of these days, I might have to talk to one of their designers and see if, they have ever thought about catering to the hobbyist crowd.
Yeah, I mean, if they can make it affordable, I think that's the biggest catch with something like that. And the main reason I liked it was, well, there's a couple of main reasons why I liked it, but I don't like the boxes. I don't want to slide them in and out. I don't want to have all these shelving systems and all that.
Yeah.
I like a drawer. To me, a drawer makes more sense. I slide it out, I throw it back in, I can latch it. It's nice that way. But then the other main thing was the fireproofing, and there's just no way to replicate that without metal.
Yeah.
And as soon as you have a 5 foot tall cabinet with a bunch of sliding drawers in it and it's all fireproof metal, it ain't gonna be cheap. There's no way you're getting that under, these days under, maybe you could find one under $1,000. Um, you know, and sure, it would be nice to have a brand new one. All the drawers would work perfect. Sometimes my drawers are a little tilt one way or the other from having weight in them over the years, and a couple little rust spots and stuff like that. But nowhere near enough abuse to them where it's worth spending $2,000 versus the $100 I spent a piece on them or whatever.
Yeah.
So, but the fireproofing is good if you're going to buy any kind of business insurance, which I highly suggest. I got a discount on mine for having them in a fireproof cabinet. I just sent them pictures of what they're in, and insurance company offered me a discount for that. So, because what's the biggest? There's two big threats to your baseball cards, and that's moisture and fire. Water and fire. So, you want to do whatever you can to avoid either of those two things. That should give you a little bit more security in the long run that you'll be able to
Right.
maintain your inventory. Boom Slang says $60 to $80. I'm assuming he's referring to the thermal printers, and that's probably about right. I think mine was like 52 something when I got it, but that was also 3-4 years ago now. So yeah, I assumed they had, gone up a fair amount. Yeah, it's life. It's on Amazon, by the way. That's my affiliate links are Amazon. So if you're comfortable ordering on Amazon, and you want to order the same one I got, that's where that link's going to take you. Max says best investment I have ever made for the business. Nothing comes close. I would agree. Yeah, I think that $50-$60 is just it's a nice tiny little machine. It just one plug to plug it in, and it's real easy to set up on eBay to set the printer up so that it prints those 6x9s, and labels are easy to work with. So yeah, I would agree. Your thermal printer prints envelope and ground advantage label. I mean, it has different formats. Either one of those labels prints on a 4x6, so it really doesn't matter. So yes, you can print both labels. What you need to do is go into eBay and change your printer settings to 4x6 printing as opposed to 8.5x11, which is, of course, a sheet of paper. And then it should print to that label size, whatever type of postage you're printing.
It just flips the orientation for those two labels. One it prints
up and down.
one it prints vertical.
Right. And it also prints UPS and FedEx and DHL. They all print on 4x6s. So you can print through any of those services. I'm at 2,700 listings, and with bulk listings, 6,400 total cards. Oh, nice job. I know you had just recently started, so you're really picking it up.
Growing at a nice pace.
Yeah, 2,700, not bad. Hopefully you're seeing sales too. Let's see, I see multiple reports on groups that people are having issues with labels. Yeah, it sounds like eBay is having problems. I know I've been wearing y'all out with questions tonight. Sorry, good stuff though. No, that's exactly what we want. That's why we started this. This was before Discord and all that. We started this show first. That's kind of what we wanted to do, is be able to sort of, it's kind of like I work by myself at home in my basement and don't have any corporate meetings. So this is like my corporate meeting for the week.
Yeah.
So I get to talk to all the other managers and all the other business owners. That's all you guys. Charlie especially, because like I said, we come from two different sides. I'm not one of those who's like, I only want to hang out with people who are exactly like me. I tend to be more the opposite. I tend to try to keep people, near me that are different from me, because I think it's so easy to get caught in your own way. And I'm very, bullheaded, and this is the right way, and this is how things should be, and blah, blah, blah. And I need somebody to come in and be like, well, but what if you're, and I'm like, hey, you kind of got a point there, but it's not, sometimes it's hard to see on your own.
Yeah.
So this is sort of my opportunity to do that. I don't want to have corporate meetings every day. I'm not wearing a tie on this show ever. Um, but,
Maybe a bow
but
tie.
right, maybe a bow tie. But that's kind of how I see it. I see that this as the opportunity for, you guys to ask questions and share your experiences. I'm just going to tip a little bit so I can lean forward. Um, hey, well, I'm new and now I found out I can do this or I can do that. And I'll be like, I didn't know that because I don't go out and look for stuff all the time because I've been doing it forever.
Right.
So, yeah. So ask away. We're not afraid of questions. If you're not in the Discord, I highly suggest it. There's lots of stuff on there. I've learned a lot in the Discord. I've gotten a lot from it. So anything from where to get labels from to, you know, different places to buy cards, stuff that's come out that I wasn't aware of, things like that. It's found tons of good stuff on there. This show has, the information I got on this show has totally revamped my inventory system and everything. So it's been very beneficial. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. Like the videos so that they get a lot of exposure. Share it to someone you think would enjoy it that maybe wants to do this stuff or is doing this stuff and doesn't know where to go to find a community that
Right.
that they can be a part of. um, and then ring the bell so you're notified anytime we post this stuff and go live. And then of course join the Discord. The little link is flashing across the bottom right now, so do it. Annie Kelly is yes having problems with ESE. Why are you guys printing labels during our show? You should be paying attention. Put down your phone. Put down, let's go. Let's watch. No, I'm just kidding. That was my corporate meeting moment. Was disciplinary action for anybody who doesn't follow all the memos during the meeting. Exactly. Max says that's the entire reason we're all here. You bet. Have you had any issues with PWE tracking not updating for the last week?
Yes.
Yes, I have one right now. I had somebody who filed a request today, which I haven't had in a while now. I don't know where that didn't get there, and that basically the tracking just isn't doing anything. So just hold out on them. Hopefully they'll pick it up and they'll find out where it is. I know Bo, that was kind of what Bo's video was about this morning. It's kind of funny. Where's all the mail? Was the title. And yeah, so it's not just you. It's been happening. I don't know if there's like parts of America that are having problems, or if it's government stuff, or federal things being shut down. I don't know what the instance is, but yes, there are some problems right now.
Yep, definitely an uptick of missing tracking. Seeing more messages saying, "Hey, my car didn't get here yet," and it was going really good for a while. But it just crops up every once in a while, and it seems to be in bursts, right? It's usually not just one, like there'll be a bunch. And there were a number of winter storms went through the Midwest. There's another one happening right now to the south of us. That has impacts, and then there's a couple of federal holidays in there that happened as well. All those things add up to more USPS problems.
And I saw a bunch of guys posting on Discord about this.
Yeah.
And I didn't have any problems. I'm like, I don't know. I haven't heard anything.
Wait.
But, well, here's the thing. One of the things I've noticed is I have a much more built up regular customer base probably than a lot of you. And they just don't check the tracking. They just know I shipped it, and they just kind of sit and wait until it shows up, unless it's like way late.
Yeah.
So I think you guys are probably going to hear it more and are hearing it more because your buyers don't know who you are. So they're actually checking the tracking, and did this guy actually ship this thing? He's only got 100 feedback. And, so you run into more of that when you're new versus, I've got 15,000 feedback and a customer who placed their sixth order with me, they probably don't really care. They'll just wait until it shows up. So
that was one of my favorite messages from a buyer. It happened, I don't know, late last month, when they submitted a claim and they said, "Are you sure you shipped it?"
mhm.
Oh, let me check. Oh, I'll be damned. It's sitting right here next to me. I guess I
Yeah,
didn't. I don't know.
I think what they mean is you printed the label, but is it still sitting in your car?
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's because printing a label doesn't mean you shipped it. I think that's kind of what they're. But yeah, you're right. That's a
But and this was
strange
like
thing to
the
answer.
third conversation, right? Like it wasn't the first one. I had already acknowledged, yeah, I see the tracking isn't updating. It's shipped on this date. The last tracking is here. Let's give it through the end of the week and see if it turns up. A lot of times the tracking just gets missed a scan or something. But then they came back with, "Well, are you sure you shipped it?" um, at this point though, I don't really get too worked up about these when they happen. It's just part of the business. It kind of ebbs and flows. Like it, I just expect it to come up once in a while now, and I have a standardized way I deal with it. Um, Recently, I had the first one where eBay stepped in before I resolved it, and I was kind of perturbed about that because I had been talking with the buyer, and eBay stepped in on the same day I had scheduled my final communication with the buyer, and I was going to refund it, but they must have got impatient or something, and asked eBay to step in, and because there was no tracking, eBay quickly closed it. But I got my insurance claim paid on it anyway, so
Mhm.
you take the one hit though for open case not resolved, but that's pretty rare.
Yeah, and I think eBay's been pretty understanding that sometimes there's things that are out of our control, and
Yeah,
you can, if you start getting negatives because this took 6 weeks to get here or something, um, they're kind of on the side of the seller now. If as long as you can prove that there was tracking, that you printed the label in time,
yeah,
they're willing to go. Oh yeah, it's out of your control. Or a lot of times for reason, I'll just put snowstorm.
yeah,
You know, and they're just like automatically remove the negative, um, or the late shipment notice, or whatever it is you're trying to get resolved. So work with eBay too. If these things come up and you have issues with the mail, um, certainly being like Charlie did a good job, keeping in contact with the customer. You always want to do that. But if it does escalate beyond that, now you have an issue with eBay, contact them and say, hey, I had nothing to do with this. I don't drive the postal truck. I only drive my truck. So,
yeah.
um, and they're pretty good about it. Lots of problems with the USPS lately. No updates on tracking for a while, even though I know some have been delivered because I have received feedback. See, now that's interesting because I don't go look at the tracking on
Yeah, I don't
anything I
either.
ship. So that to me says like new seller, whatever, which is fine. And that's exactly why I like this stuff and the Discord because I would never go look at that, but you clearly are. And you're saying, man, their tracking stuff never shows up, and I'm like, it doesn't. I don't know. As long as the package shows up and the customer leaves feedback, that's fine by me. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they just have a issue with their system or it's getting shut down or converted over. I don't know. We'll see. I always thought it was odd that there's a tracking number, but you can't track it on USPS. I never liked that. And it confuses customers because they go, well, I checked the tracking number and it's not real. So you gave me a fake
Yeah,
tracking number, whatever. And now I think most of us, including the customers, have been in ESE for long enough where we just kind of know it's on its own system, but maybe they're kind of converting that over now, and those are going to be tracked in regular USPS tracking. I don't know. I don't know, but yeah, we'll have to see. They haven't come out and said anything about it, so I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. Yeah, I wouldn't be. I'm with Charlie. I've been through enough of these over plenty of years that I wouldn't be too concerned about it unless a ton of stuff goes missing, like not showing up at all. Then we have to look at it like, what the heck's going on here? So, Dustin has over 100 PWE out with zero tracking, and it dropped them off at 3 different locations, so they weren't stolen. Yeah, again, same thing. I think it's just something with their system. You know, for customer contacts, you just say, hey, tracking is, not working right now with USPS. Let's make sure we give it enough time. Sorry. Make sure we give it enough time. If it doesn't show up, contact me in a couple days and we'll reevaluate it. But that insurance works. Charlie's right. Every time I have an issue, refund a buyer, file a claim, I get money right in my PayPal account. So you don't have to worry about it as long as you actually shipped it.
It's funny because I know exactly how many refunds I have because the only thing I use PayPal for is my refunds.
I have a couple other businesses that stuff that pumps into PayPal, but yeah, it's not much, not as much as nearly as it used to be. I also received a letter from the Department of Justice yesterday informing me I was a victim in a case involving a
Wow.
USPS employee stealing packages of cards. I saw that story, so I know what you're referring to. That's interesting. That I wonder how they knew it was you, unless they literally found the package with your name on it. They must have found the package with the tracking number. That's probably how they found you. But wow, that's crazy. Waiting on more details. Yeah, they're not going to make it right. Like I wouldn't expect. Maybe you'll get your stuff back if they still have the stuff, but you're certainly not
In a
going to get
year when the
money back.
trial's over.
Yeah. So yeah, that sucks. Hopefully it wasn't too much of it. Keith is here. What's up, fellas? Late, but I wanted to stop by and say hi. Well,
Hey.
we're glad you did. What?
What?
What did you do?
What?
I don't like it. Multitasking. Yeah. We've got snow, ice here in NC today, third time this year, which is basically 3 times more than normal. Yeah, a lot of this, the South has had more weather issues than we have where we are. We
Yeah.
just recently got snow. We went pretty much the whole season with no snow until the last couple of weeks, and we got a couple of dumps, but yeah, certainly a weird weather year. So how long does it take a card to get to the Marianas Island? I had to ship one there last week. I have no clue. I would say probably 5 to 7 days. If that's a place that receives regular mail. If they get like one mail delivery a week because they're super remote or something, it's probably going to be a couple of weeks then, I would think. So,
Well, I'm curious. Was it maybe a military installation there?
yeah, I'm not too familiar with Marianas. Is that by like St. Thomas and stuff like that? Islands? I don't really know where it is. Geography's not my strongest suit.
It's part of Micronesia.
That doesn't help me.
South Pacific?
I don't know, man. It'll be fun. Let us know next week. How long? Let us know next week if it got there.
It's spitting distance from Japan.
Oh, okay. Okay, so that was obviously not a. Oh, no, it must be a military base then, because otherwise it'd be an international.
It's kind of between the Philippines and Japan. I wouldn't be surprised if it takes 2 weeks to get there, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because it's probably going to go to the Philippines, and then it's going to transfer over on a limited service to the Marianas. That would be my guess.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, you'll find out. I've had all kinds of shipments go to all kinds of different crazy addresses and stuff, and even the ones where um, some Puerto Ricans, when they set up their accounts, they set it up as the country of Puerto Rico,
Yeah.
and then you can't ship ESE. You got to put a stamp on it. I've had a bunch of envelopes I've sent that way. Never had anything bad happen with them. So I'm assuming they got their cards, but yeah, it should be fine. I don't think I wouldn't really worry about it. I think I think in a way it's easier to worry about, like, if you're only doing one or two shipments, it's easier to worry about it than, like, I have like 200 a day, so I can't sit and think about one envelope that goes to one place.
Yeah.
The only thing that I get a little bit on edge about for a period of time after I ship it is when I have to ship to eBay certification, or eBay, um, what do you call that? Where they authentication.
Authentication. Yeah.
So I just had one this week. I had a PSA card I sold for $299 that I just sent authentication, and then I kind of sit on the edge of my chair for a day or two and sort of forget about it, and eventually I get the email saying, "Hey,
Yeah.
your card passed authentication and it's on its way to the customer." Um, Outside of that, but that's also a higher dollar amount, so that's why
Right.
that. If it was a $2 card, I'd be like, I don't care if it passed authentication. Great.
Right.
One of the many, many reasons I like to deal in $3 cards instead of $3,000 cards. Because let's say you get a letter from the Department of Justice and this guy stole your card and it was a $3,000 card you sent, and you get no uh, money back or the card back out of this deal. That hurts a little bit more than,
Yeah, that would
okay,
sting.
he took your envelope with a $3 card in it. No one wants to lose $3, but you can definitely move on without the $3. We closed our military bases. Oh yeah, we should ask the military guy. We closed our military bases there decades ago. Yes, in the South Pacific. Interesting. I wonder where it's going then, because that should have been international shipping then, right?
I don't know if that's considered U.S. territory or not.
I don't
I
think
don't know.
it. I don't think it is. I don't think we own anything in that area.
Well,
I
I
mean,
mean, we
Puerto
just renamed
Rico.
the whole Gulf. I think we own everything.
All right, moving on. I don't even know what was missing. Waiting on a call back freaked me out. Receiving a letter from the Department of Justice with my name handwritten on it. Yeah, I could see that. At least both of my Skeens autos made it out of my jumbo case, arrived safely at authentication. Was worried about those.
The
Oh, that's
Marianas are
good.
administered by the United States of America.
Really interesting.
Yeah. We keep a close eye on that trench.
Yes, I know, but still, I don't think we. I don't
Scientific
think we.
station.
I don't think we own all of it, though, do we? We don't have all that.
I just
Oh,
know that we are the administrators of it.
all right.
Yeah.
U.S. territory. Okay, that makes sense then. But yeah, I think, to answer your question, I still think it's going to take at least a week. Can't imagine it would be quicker than that. I don't think much mail goes out that way.
Right, exactly.
I wouldn't think,
Like I say, I think that would be a limited route.
especially if there isn't a military. If there's a military base there, it might have a shot at getting that quicker because they have their own mail service. Um, but yeah, if it's just going out to that random location, can we go there too? Let's all go to the islands. That sounds
That's,
better than the 2 feet of snow I have outside my door. So, all right. Do we cover all our topics? Probably not, because we don't ever.
the only thing we didn't talk about is your growth in your non-sports store.
Yeah, we can save that for another time. I think people are really antsy about the tax stuff, which I that's understandable. So I wanted to make sure I don't like talking about taxes. I think it's not a good thing to, unless you're in a professional, licensed environment. Yeah, I was a financial professional for a lot of years, and I had people come into my office that would tell me all kinds of stuff they heard from other people who are smart with money that just were not true. And some people made some really poor decisions based on that information. Um, so I'm very careful about. I am not a tax professional, not even close. So I'm very careful about. I don't mind people having the conversations. I don't want to throw out things and then somebody acts on something without doing their own research, I guess. So anyway, but I'm glad we were able to help on some little bits, at least some generic stuff, and um, you guys can feel more confident about approaching a professional accountant, or doing your own preparation for your taxes and getting that done, because it's coming up soon. So ours is complicated even more this year because now we formed a partnership and we have to file taxes for that too. So, but we'll be on it. We'll get it taken care of, and they'll let you know if you did it wrong. They'll send you a letter,
Yeah.
and then you mail them a check, and everybody moves forward. It's fine. It's not the end of the universe.
The good news is the current administration is usually pro less paperwork with taxes and stuff like that. Like
Yep.
they tend to be a little more lenient with tax situations.
Yeah, less authoritarian
Yeah.
style, less staff.
Yes.
I was thinking about this the other day. I'm like, they're so screwed because there's 21 million more 1099s that went out this year than did in the
Yeah.
past because they lowered that dollar amount.
Yeah.
So I'm like, they're going to have all these people now that, okay, great, 1099, no big deal. That's just reporting. But most people aren't just going to pay tax on that amount. They're going to they're going to try to put stuff on there,
Yeah.
legit, hopefully, expenses and costs of goods and all that. And it's like, IRS is not going to have time to look at that stuff.
Right.
So I'm like, they just really complicated their situation. They reduced the amount of staff, and there's more filers than there ever was before. I'm like, I don't know how the heck they would ever keep up with it. So yeah, it could be interesting going forward. And next year it's going to be worse because they're lowering the amount again. So
It could change by then, though.
they could, but let's say it goes that way and it's down to $600. Let's say you sold your Trek bicycle to someone on Facebook Marketplace,
Right.
and they Venmoed you $700 to buy your bike. You have to pay taxes on that, even though you probably paid $2,000 for the bike. Now you have to go onto your taxes and say, hey, I didn't make any money on this bike. I sold it for less than I paid for it. You got to find a receipt, and like, I don't know. It seems like it's going to be interesting. An interesting new obligation or possible workflow for them that I don't know that they're prepared to take on. So I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully I'm guessing they're hoping just people pay and they still get more money, so they don't have to care. I guess it's still better than what they were at. That's government. That's funny.
Yep.
Zero thought was put in. All it was a money grab. Yeah, on this one, I completely agree. And I'm not even. I don't want to get into politics at all about this, but it was thrown in as a fattening of a bill that was set up to try to help people during a time of a pandemic, and I don't like that at all. I wish people would read stuff before they vote on stuff. Go, oh, I get a free check for $1,500 for the government. Yeah, okay, but look what else you committed to now. Now for me, I don't care. I've been getting those 1099. I've been well over 20 grand for years and years and years, and I've been filing those 1099s. But I'm like, oh, there's gonna be some people that are gonna be like, what is this?
Yeah.
I'm like, you should have probably looked at some of those bills before you encouraged your, politicians to vote for this thing because this crap was thrown in there, and I don't agree with that. I don't think I don't know. Anyway, that's my take on that one, but I'm kind of on Max's side on that one. And then write the bike off as at a loss. So I was gonna mention that, but that could get weird too, because then they're gonna say, well, this isn't a business, so it doesn't qualify for a loss. But then my argument would be, okay, well, this isn't a business. Why am I paying tax on this? Right? I didn't sell it for any money. If you're not going to say I can deduct anything or write off my loss, how are you going to charge me on a profit? So,
yeah,
I think taxes are going to get extremely super weird over the next 4 to 5 years minimum. And I don't know. We're probably due for an entire restructure at some point. I just don't know how everyone would be able to handle that.
yeah.
So I don't know. Anyway, we'll leave it at that. That's enough for tonight, I guess.
I think so.
Anything else to add there, Mr. Charlie?
I think we hit it all. We'll talk about your non-sport growth next time. I think we had a good experience with 2025 Top Series 1. I would certainly do that again with you sometime. Maybe
absolutely.
even some different sets if we coordinate some things. I think that made it a little more fun. But other than that, I think I'm good tonight. I would just say, don't forget, when you see the GOAT, we're talking about some of the greatest of all time.
That'd be me. Yeah, and to your point on doing this again, I would love to maybe do some of the new products when the licensing changes over.
Yeah.
I think it'd be fun to do a basketball box, a soccer box, a WWE box would be fun. I've never opened WWE. I would have a good time with that.
Topps Chrome was fire this year.
That's what I hear. Yeah, Ethan bought some when he was over here, and yeah, he got like 4 numbered cards in his mega box. I was like, what? Yeah. So lower print runs, it's nice. I'd love to do a soccer break, would be fun. Obviously football when Topps gets that, and we can finally push Panini out the door for the most part. I can't wait. I'm still willing to buy sticker packets and some of their other products, but if they can get out of the cards, I'm all for that. And I think most of Topps is printed in the United States, or a chunk of it is. So I think that could be good going forward too, because we don't know how that stuff's gonna get affected either. So yeah, I think it would be fun to do some box breaks with that, as well as some baseball, of course, again too.
Yeah.
But that's it for me. That's it for Charlie. Any other final words?
I said all I got to say.
Okay. Remember, you can't sell what you don't list. Next week, 8 o'clock Central Standard Time.